In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared.
What's up, everybody?
And we ain't gonna go along
Welcome
with the
in, one and
crowd.
all. You're right with you.
This is Blood Politics. And it ain't about left or right. It ain't about Dem or Republican. It's about right and wrong. It's about us versus them. This is Blood Politics.
Get right into it. What do you say we just get right into it? How's everybody doing? Welcome. Appreciate you guys joining me today. It is 7 June 2026. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics, and I appreciate you for taking the time out of your day and joining me here for a little bit of information, a little bit of news. We're going to be going over a lot. We're going to be all over the place today, from the Middle East to obviously domestic issues, Ukraine, and inside of Russia. So please, as you filter in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. See if we can kind of say hi to the chat as everybody's kind of welcoming their way into the chat. What's going on, Jeff? How are you, my brother? What's going on, Julie? What's going on, Andrea? Good to see you. What's up, Jamie? I see you over there on Facebook. What's up, No Money G? What's up, Tina? What's up, Will? What's up, Roxanne? Nancy, how are you, dear? What's going on? What's up, Wes? Appreciate you, my brother. Yeah, everybody hit that like button on the way in. Like I said, ton to talk about. It is Sunday, 7 June. You made it through another week. We're going to be starting another disastrous week, I'm sure. But, we got a lot to go over, a lot to talk about. So, like I said, as everybody filters in on this beautiful Sunday, I'm sure everybody or a lot of people are out and about. So you'll probably be catching up on this later on in the day. So if you do catch up at a later date, if you're watching this later, thank you guys so much for whenever you're watching this, whenever you're tuning in. So please make sure if you are watching at a later date, hit that like button, subscribe, just as important. And again, thank you to everybody here live. What's up, El Rondo? What's up, Will? What's going on, moms? Appreciate you guys. Everybody filter in. All right, a little bit of what we're talking about today. Like I said, it's 7 June, so we are one day removed from the 82nd anniversary of the D-Day landings. We'll talk more about that, obviously. A little bit about Pete Hegseth using this moment, using that anniversary to get through his bigoted anti-immigration sentiment. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Like I said, we'll be going to the Middle East, speaking about the ongoing strikes of this non-existent ceasefire that is just horrendously stupid to be continuously called a ceasefire. So we'll be talking about Israel, Lebanon, the West Bank, Gaza. We see problems and continuous problems in all three. Pete Hegseth, like I said, in his D-Day anti-immigration statements. We got Simon Marks from LBC, actually put out a video on his own, as far as I could see, wasn't even with James O'Brien or anybody else. And he's kind of asking the question about the Iran situation and Donald Trump in particular. How did we get here, right? So I think he's just kind of generally asking the question, and he's given some updates and insights as to what Donald Trump said in the past few days, things like that. So we'll be going over that. There's a Lego video that absolutely demolishes Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, I don't think you can hammer on that point enough, whether you're a political commentator or you're putting out Lego videos to continuously get that into the public eye and continuously get people talking about that is a good thing. So I want to bring that up. We have to talk about Trump's disastrous interview with Kristen Welker, obviously, between the weather that tried to shut them down, between Donald Trump storming off because in some ridiculously small-mannered Kristen Welker decided to push back, right? Credit where credit is due. She must feel like an idiot again, like she was saying, traveled all the way down to, I think she said Wisconsin for this, and Donald Trump ended up, walking out on the interview. So there's a couple clips we got to go over as far as that's concerned. Some new strike updates from Ukraine. Obviously, I want to talk about Candace Owens and her basic poor impression of Tucker Carlson's Russian propaganda trip. Remember, he went to the grocery store and he was like amazed at the fucking Russian bread, and he was like, "Oh my god, lights!" And he didn't think Russians had grocery stores. Well, Candace Owens sat down for an interview, and a lot of what she's been putting out on social media is the same bullshit. Like, "Oh, everything I'm told by the media is lies. Look it's clean. Look I'm not dead yet." It's like, well, come on, be serious of what we're actually calling out and the people that we're actually calling out. So we'll be talking about that. And then I want to talk about a couple videos I got from Combat Vet News and Georgi from Ukraine Matters, giving us some general updates about what's taking place inside of Ukraine and also inside of Russia. And then if I leave myself some time, I know a lot of people have been asking. DPD brought this up on the last show. I'll see if I can give my general opinion on the Graham Plattner matter. So yeah, if we leave ourselves some time with that, I'll see if we can at least get that off my chest. And like I said, everybody that's been asking and questioning, and it's really kind of a nuanced conversation, obviously, so I didn't want to rush through it last time. So DBD, I hope you know that, no hard feelings. It was just I was thinking about bringing it up during the show, and then, like I said, we got too deep into the show. I didn't leave myself enough time, and then when he asked the question, I was like, shit, I knew it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to escape it. So I do appreciate you guys for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all those things on the agenda today and more. So a lot to talk about. First and foremost, as we've been doing for the last few shows, and like I said, as we'll continue doing until this is over, I want to make sure to continuously congratulate and thank you guys for your efforts here in this second NAFO campaign that we're doing with Help 99, obviously the 69 Sniffing Brigade. I mean, to have raised over 7,700 euro already through 56 separate donations. I mean, we're nearly halfway there. We're now 37% of the way to our goal already. And like I said, we are a very small fish in a very large sea. So again, I am there's no illusions basically to how hard we have to work as a small platform, as a small group here to get this stuff done. So I am amazed, I am blessed, I am shocked, and I am very appreciative every single day I wake up and see that more and more people have been contributing. Again, this is the Summer of Drones campaign going to the 3rd Operational Battalion, Artillery Platoon in the Lipsy direction. And this is, again, the end goal is 20,500 euro. We've now raised, like I said, 37% of that is 7,708 euro and 28 cents, which I believe, if my calculations are correct, is about $8,800, a little bit over that, I think, a little over 8,800. So again, a huge accomplishment. We're almost halfway there. Let's not let up. Let's keep the momentum going. Again, all the people sharing this out, you guys are doing this work. You guys are making this possible just as much as the people with the pockets that are donating to this campaign. So all of it goes to help. And like I said, hopefully we can get this in front of some people with some deep pockets that can get us there even quicker. And then, like I said, right hand up, hopefully, if I'm lucky enough, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, I'm lucky enough and fortunate enough, we could maybe possibly go over there and be present for the handover. Be present as we hand over this vehicle to the 3rd Operational Battalion Artillery Platoon. And what an honor and a privilege that would be. And obviously, what great content for you guys to be able to see firsthand. That handing over and the appreciation from the Ukrainian military would be fantastic. So, like I said, big thank you to you guys for getting us to this point. Let's see. We'll go down here as I always do. See if there's anybody else I need to recognize. So, Philippe, thank you so much for your huge and very substantial contribution to this campaign. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Colleen, in the chat. Very much appreciate you. She says, stay safe. Most Americans support Ukraine. Slava, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to MJ, Hugo, again, Dame Dog in the chat. Thank you so much to Moms in the chat, Rocks in the chat, Alicia, thank you so much. This one is from Nance in the chat. Then we got some anonymous, and that's fine. Thank you guys so much from Tom and Victoria and their family. Thank you so much. Nicole, Christina, Yakov is thrown in a bunch. And again, this is one from me and the Blunt Politics family, just in general. Berja, Mark, Ko, look at all the fucking fabulous people. Todd, thank you so much. All of you guys. Again, I am just completely and totally blessed to have this community, to be able to rely upon you guys for these things, to be able to, have you guys and have built a subscriber base enough where other platforms and organizations find it beneficial and useful to work with us. So again, a big shout out, a big thank you to you guys, and hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. Growing this community is just going to do and go to help us, do better things in the future as well. So I just wanted to thank you guys, as we've been doing at the beginning of every show, for that contribution for this campaign. I'm blown away every single time, whether it be, for our friend Tom with the Stand with Ukraine and the help we do, promoting his fundraiser with the Misto Dobra, whether it's our merch shop at Blunt Politics, the merch shop at bostonbrian.com, you can go over there, and anything Ukraine related, we make a donation to United 24. So in any way that we can continue helping, we're going to continue helping. So, I appreciate you guys for getting us to this point and making that possible. But like I said in the opening, today, 7 June, yesterday, 6 June, June 6th, obviously 1944 is what we'll be talking about and looking back on. Yesterday marked the 82nd anniversary since our, boys, our men and women stormed the beaches of Normandy. We knew it was going to be kind of hijacked by the right, hijacked by this administration to push their propaganda, to push their bigoted, racist, anti-immigration views. And we were all right. Everybody was correct in that assumption. And I just want to play this real quick because, it goes to show a lot about who these people are and, the way that they speak during these very important and poignant moments. Obviously, this being what people look as like the culmination, the beginnings, the start of the anti-fascist movement going into Europe, trying to get all of the fucking Nazis and get all of the the people that were so fucking, I don't even know, so instrumental in so much of the atrocities that we saw during World War II. Like, that's what those people went there to fight. That's what they went there to eradicate, to free an entire continent, to walk into machine gun fire, to walk into artillery fire, not for their own benefit, right? Not for something that they were going to gain out of this, but to again, free an entire continent under the fucking Nazi grip, right? POWs that have been held for years, Holocaust survivors that were hanging on by a thread, the besieged Europeans, wherever you want to look at, wherever the Nazis took hold, that were, again, starving to death, beaten to death, right? Their families deported to concentration camps all over Europe and beyond. Like, it mattered, right? And I know a lot of people have that sentiment where it's like, I saw it a lot on social media yesterday, and it pissed me off where, people saying that it was for naught, right? D-Day was for nothing. And, look at where we are today. And obviously that was, obviously it didn't have an impact. Well, that's just fucking utter horseshit. We may be having, our own fight right now. But again, tell that to the besieged Europeans. Tell that to the POWs. Tell that to, the Holocaust survivors that, the Allies, again, storming the beaches of Normandy wasn't a huge moment for them, right? It wasn't not only a boost of confidence, but obviously a sign that the world hasn't forgotten. Right, the world was actually going to do something and step up and try at least to relieve them of their circumstances. So again, I'm not buying into that bullshit. My grandfather and other grandfathers and people that you guys are related to didn't fight on that day and beyond. To have people now say that it was for nothing, right? We have our own fight, yes. And again, it is not just enough to remember the sacrifices of the heroes that not only stormed those beaches on D-Day, but also in the days beyond. But, we need to make sure that we are continuously on alert for that same authoritarianism, that same fascist creep, right? That same fucking hatred, which is what we're seeing today in maybe a different form and fashion, but not that much different, right? So it's not enough just to remember. You also have to stay vigilant and make sure that you're honoring the sacrifices by making sure that can never fucking happen again, or at least to that extent. I know we're already kind of in the depths of hell, so to speak, as far as that's concerned. But it is our duty. It is our duty to make sure that we speak up against that shit. So here's Pete Hegseth, just a real quick clip of him again going and using this moment of D-Day and the 82nd anniversary to push his anti-immigration propaganda bullshit, as said here by Owens Defender during his speech at a ceremony marking the 82nd anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Pete Hegseth compared the D-Day invasion with illegal immigration, stating, "Sadly, today, different European beaches are stormed by different dangerous ideologies. When will European capitals do something about that invasion?" And again, I don't think I need to detail how, bigoted that statement is and how ridiculous that statement is in comparison is to make, especially at a ceremony here trying to commemorate the 82nd anniversary of the D-Day landings. My passion for World War II for years and years now has taught me a lot. It really has. It's taught me a lot, not only about history, it's taught me a lot about how to combat what we're seeing today. And again, for him to hijack this situation, hijack this moment for his anti-immigration bullshit is right in line with what you'd expect from these dickheads, but also very demoralizing. It is disrespectful to say the least. So again, here's at least one of the moments, and this wasn't it, but just to give you an example of how he used this situation.
In the years since these beaches, much of the West, in some places, in some quarters, and in some capitals, grew comfortable. We forgot that freedom is not free. We forgot that peace is not wished into being. It is bought with purpose, with honor, and with strength. The men who landed on these beaches knew this. The question we ask ourselves is, do we? It's past time we remember what they knew. Their legacy demands far more than quiet reflection. It requires our active vigilance. Sadly, today, different European beaches are stormed by different dangerous ideologies. Beaches in Spain, in Italy, in Greece, and Bulgaria, boats and men arrive. When will European capitals do something about that invasion? Or is it too late? I pray not, and I believe not.
So again, utilizing this moment to say, is it too late? Because we have immigration in our society, because we have immigration in our world, right? Again, I don't think I need to dive too deeply into how disrespectful it is for him to again use that moment to just attack other ideologies, attack immigrants and immigration as a whole going on around the planet. This is much like the right-wing sentiment you'll hear in the UK. Stop the boats, stop this, fucking attack the boats bullshit. That's no different, right? So it's basically Tommy Robinson here giving a fucking speech at the 82nd anniversary of the D-Day landings, but only Tommy Robinson just happens to be our Secretary of Defense over here in the United States. But again, just wanted to lead into that and show you guys an example of how they just don't give a shit. They don't respect anybody that fought that day. They don't respect anybody that fought before that day or after that day. We've heard time and time again from Donald Trump, suckers and losers. John McCain, his trip to Japan, making sure the warship basically named after John McCain, his father and his grandfather, was out of sight. Again, how did that feel to the soldiers and the sailors on that ship that are very proud of who they represent, what they represent, and the ship that they're on, only to be told that they have to be thrust into the background so Donald Trump didn't have to see the name USS John McCain. The list goes on, right? There's multiple ways in which we could talk about the disrespect that Donald Trump and his colleagues have, shown the military and people that have served and sacrificed to honor this country, to uphold and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, some of which are in the chat right now, and we give you guys a big salute. And again, if it's your family that has served, a big salute to them as well, because we know it is a family affair as well. But all right, let's dive into a little bit of the news coming from the Middle East. Unfortunately, this is reported here by Drop Site News, and this is 35 killed and 120 wounded in Lebanon on Friday. This is, again, on top of the strikes and retaliations that we saw between the United States and Iran, and continue to see Iran strike, the United States bases, throw drones and missiles into the Strait of Hormuz. The United States retaliates against, different radar installations and different drone sites. So again, the fact that people continuously call this a ceasefire is asinine. And again, we've seen time and time again, the Iranians tell us that the red line, the line in the sand of the Israeli attack on Lebanon, the Israeli attack is going to be part of the deal, and that the talks will not go forward unless this is something that can be curtailed. So it says Israel said on Saturday that it struck 150 different sites across Lebanon in the previous 48 hours and more than 650 sites over the past week, according to the official IDF statements. According to updated figures from the Lebanese Ministry of Public Health, health. The cumulative toll since March 2nd has risen to 3,593 residents killed and 10,990 wounded. Israeli attacks in just one region south of the Litani River on Saturday are documented below, and this says here, a vehicle belonging to the Lebanese army was targeted on the Kardali Road, resulting in the martyrdom of 3 soldiers. This was Saturday, June 6, 2026, until 8 p.m. It says Israeli attacks on villages and towns in the Jabal Amel region south of Litani River from dawn on Saturday. And then just showing you a depiction there of that. There was one more I think I wanted to see here if there was one underneath this real quick. Yeah, this also says an Israeli airstrike on a residential building in the Saks Akia, southern Lebanon, killed an entire family of 6. Journalist Courtney Bonu reported from the scene. At least 9 people have already been killed across southern Lebanon and the Bekaa Valley on Saturday, including 3 Lebanese army soldiers, which we just talked about, whose personnel carrier was struck by an Israeli drone. The incident occurred as the Lebanese army commander arrived in Islamabad to meet Field Marshal Asmin Munir for Iran-U.S. negotiations. So again, we can see the continued efforts there of the IDF and Benjamin Netanyahu at large trying to disrupt those negotiations, or lack of negotiations, I should say, that are taking place, as we have depicted here. I believe in either, I think it's a Fox News or CNN video I have coming up, but that, you know, these ongoing strikes you can see from the targeting of a house in the Hal al-Salem camp on Al-Attar Street in the Musakai area of Khan Yunis. Some footage coming from that, from the strikes there. Let's see here. Targeted by occupation warplanes in Mawasawi and Khan Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip. Massive explosions following Israeli strike in Al-Mawasi, Khan Yunis. So again, all over the place. And then we'll show you again in just a second here a video of, you know, just an example of what's taking place in the West Bank. Let's see. Senior Lebanese army commander has been killed in an Israeli drone strike Friday while traveling toward his base in Marajun, southern Lebanon, according to Press TV correspondent. I think that was part of the strike that we just detailed. 9 killed in Gaza on day 239 of the ceasefire, which is absolutely not a ceasefire. As you can see, according to journalist Islam Bader, Saturday's violence included a Palestinian killed just hours before his wedding, 7 people killed when a tent sheltering displaced families was bombed, including a father and his daughter, another Palestinian killed in Gaza's City al-Zatoun neighborhood, new forces evacuation orders and shelling now reported in Khan Yunis and al-Maghazi. Gaza's health ministry says that nearly 1,000 Palestinians have been killed since the ceasefire began, again detailing the ridiculousness of even calling it that. And again, that's on top of another one of the reports. But again, just to kind of show you in detail a little bit of what has been taking place. Let me see if I can throw, oh, this is another one too. Let me throw this one on. This is from the Washington Eye. This is basically Netanyahu taking credit for these strikes and the attacks that we'll be detailing. Netanyahu claims gains in Gaza and heavy strikes on Hezbollah and Lebanon. He says that Israeli forces are intensifying operations in Gaza, claiming control over more than 60% of the territory and progress towards 70%, while also stating that Hamas commanders are being eliminated. He further said operations in Lebanon have resulted in the killing of hundreds of militants and the capture of strategic positions, including underground infrastructure near border areas, amid ongoing conflict with Hezbollah. And again, here we can see this is a ceasefire, quote-unquote ceasefire, that never reached Gaza's skies. Last night, Israeli strikes continued relentlessly in the southern Gaza Strip. Again, you can see that detailed in the background there, all the tents in the foreground. This goes on to say at least 12 Palestinians were killed and 35 injured in ongoing Israeli strikes across Gaza since this morning. That was 2 hours ago. This was 2 hours ago. Israeli strikes on Gaza police station killed 5, wound 17. This is 2 hours ago. Update: 3 Palestinians were reported killed and others injured after an Israeli airstrike hit a vehicle in the vicinity of the Al-Labadidi street in western Gaza City. Since this morning, Israeli drone strikes have killed at least 14 Palestinians and wounded dozens amid Israel's ongoing violations and massacres. And take these, the numbers being reported, obviously, with a grain of salt, as you know how quickly those things can change as well. But again, just detailing how ridiculous the futility of calling this a ceasefire. What did Donald Trump say the other day? Oh, a ceasefire in the Middle East is basically just when there's not as many bullets being shot or as many bombs or drones being lobbed. You know, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, of course, but a little bit of the ridiculousness of what that a ceasefire is when the firing ceases. Okay, that means there is no firing. Nobody's dying. Nobody's getting shot. Nobody's throwing missiles up into the sky. Nobody has to intercept missiles. That is a ceasefire. And that is basically nothing of what we've seen either in Gaza, obviously with the situation with Iran either. You continue to be lied to. You continue to be propagandized. And this, let me see here, this details just a little bit more of that. This is Wolf on CNN. Let me throw this on your screen, talking about how Iran again suspends talks and targets Kuwait, Trump's war powers, and more. I don't know if we'll get into that part, but again, this is just detailing how ridiculous it is to continuously call this not only a situation under control, but also a ceasefire when we continuously see every time the lights go out, every time the sun goes down, there's the bombing and the drones and the missiles and the interceptors start flying once again. And then during the day, we're looking at Israel continuously bombing inside Lebanon, continuously pushing into the West Bank, continuously bombing inside of Gaza. So where the fuck is the ceasefire, I ask you? But again, let's just dive into a couple minutes of this. And this is from, I believe, Friday night, where the Iranians and the United States again exchanged fires. And again, the Iranians retaliated on U.S. bases, the Strait of Hormuz, as they'll detail here. But hit that like button. My name's Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, the little podcast that could. And I do appreciate you guys. I appreciate the shit out of you guys getting me past 20,000 subscribers, the help with all of our campaigns and our push to 25,000 subscribers before midterms. Thank you guys to everybody that contributes to the show. If you could hit that like button, if you could subscribe, that would go to help us even further. So, all right, a little bit of Wolf here talking about the exchange of fire between the United States and Iran over the last couple days.
Iran says it's suspending talks with the U.S. in protest of Israeli strikes in Lebanon. With us here is CNN.
Wait a minute, did that say, my apologies, did I pull up the wrong video? Because I'm looking at the top there where it says June 1. That's my fault. That's my fault. I think I might have clicked on the wrong video as far as that's concerned. But I mean, again, to get the details from what was taking place over the last couple days here. Let me see if there was another one. Was it a Fox one? Yeah, my apologies. Let me see. Fox News might have been a Fox one, and somehow I clicked on the CNN one. Give me a second. Because I think it was just a real quick update. That I should have known that video was too long anyway. But it was just what's the guy's name there? Trey something. Let's see here real quick. Let me go to the videos. Of course, I'll probably not be able to find it, but oh, here it is right here. Just real quick.
Okay, now we turn to the Middle East as the prospects of Iran agreeing to a peace deal feels further out of reach. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Hey, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. With no diplomatic solution reached yet to formally end the war between the United States and Iran, there was another exchange of fire over the weekend. Late Friday, U.S.
I'm sorry.
forces...
So an exchange of fire, is that a ceasefire? I'm just curious, just right off the bat there. In exchange of what? In exchange of fire. So if they're firing, that means the firing hasn't ceased. So therefore, it's ridiculous to call it a ceasefire. You see how that logic works there? Just saying.
Shot down 4 one-way Iranian attack drones that were headed toward the Strait of Hormuz. New video shows additional U.S. strikes that targeted radar systems in Goruk, Iran, and on Qashem Island. In response, the Iranians launched 7 ballistic missiles toward Bahrain and Kuwait, according to the IRGC. CENTCOM says 6 of the missiles were shot down, with 1 landing short. Over the weekend, President Trump described why Operation Epic Fury needed to begin in the first place.
We had to put out a fire. We had to extinguish a nuclear weapon, a capable nuclear. This was going to be a very...
Yeah, what kind of weapon was that there, Chief? A nuclear weapon? Got to make sure. They may not have a nuclear weapon, but they damn sure were close to a nuclear weapon. That must be one of them new weapons. That must be one of them, like, really lethal, like, not even known yet to mankind weapons. The new clack weapon. You fucking idiot. I don't want to subject you to too much of him, though, because we have to dive into his Kristen Welker interview where he storms out at the end anyway. So I'll dive past his ridiculous moronic statement and just go back to more of the details. Again, this is just showing the futility of people telling you that it's a ceasefire, the Republicans telling you that there's some ceasefire in place, Donald Trump telling you that there's a ceasefire in place. It's ridiculous. It's asinine, and we continue to detail exactly why here.
Iran, the country is feeling a massive amount of economic pressure due to the ongoing U.S. naval blockade. The streets of the country remain filled with anti-America and anti-Israel propaganda, but residents there say they want a deal.
God willing, they will reach an agreement. War is not a good thing for our country. Its negative consequences are enormous, especially for ordinary people. In particular, if
Yeah, Trey, I don't think it's fucking really going out on a limb there to suggest that the Iranians don't want to be bombed anymore, right? I think everybody in some way, shape, or form is hoping for some deal to come out of this without, missiles, drones, attacks continuing. That would be fantastic. I'm pretty sure that's what everybody's calling for. What we're talking about is what type of deal is made, if any, and then what happens if, in fact, we do return to the original escalatory fucking situation that we're engaged in when the war, was first enacted, right? I mean, those are the two things that we have to talk about. How much power is Iran going to come out of this with when a deal is struck, or how much destruction and devastation is going to be put not only to Iran, the Middle East, but also the world economy, if in fact, again, this turns into some full-scale war like it was when when it was first enacted. So I don't think going out on that limb is like this incredible journalistic reporting, though. But like I said, that was just to show you the continuation of the nightly missiles, drones, and attacks there, retaliations, intercepts into the Strait of Hormuz, into different Gulf nations. This is just days after we saw the Kuwaiti International Airport struck by one of the drones there. I think it's up and running now, if I'm not mistaken, but clearly you could see the ability that this has to escalate when we've seen acts just like that, especially on international airports and stuff. So, but further detailing the futility of considering and calling anything of what's taking place a ceasefire or peace, and also talking about reigning in Israel and their actions. I just wanted to throw this on your screen because this kid, not this one, my apologies, this one here, because this Andre X, it is on Instagram, and I want to give him the credit here, is at @the.andre.x, and he's been doing some really, really good work, journalistic reporting from the West Bank, from inside of these settlers' homes, detailing what they go through on a daily basis. And I know a lot of people don't know. A lot of people aren't up to speed. There's a lot of different things to talk about. There's a lot of problems going on in the world, so I can't expect you guys to be, up to speed and up to date on everything that's taking place. But just to show you a little bit, this is one of the reports he's done, and this is just detailing what some of these people that are just getting run off their land there go through on a daily basis. And again, this is happening while you have an Israeli IDF soldier sitting there with a weapon watching this take place. I want to remind you. So again, I just want to give credit where credit is due. At @the.andre.x on Instagram did this, and we'll just play a couple minutes of this. Just shouldn't be too long before you realize what's actually taking place here. So check it out. Oh, let me put the sound on.
Shabbos.
So he says here in the top, you can see we got attacked by Israeli settlers today. Here's the full video from Hebron, West Bank, okay?
Fucking hell.
So here they are throwing rocks. I mean, you can see already you got metal bars, right? You got metal protecting the home because of this exact thing happening, because they're just allowed to show up, start chucking rocks and sticks and threatening people. Again, while an Israeli soldier sits there and does nothing about it. This gets worse, so it continues.
למה אתה זורק אבנים? למה אתה זורק אבנים? למה אתה זורק אבנים?
Get out of your fence, you son of a bitch, if you're a man, says the Israeli settler.
למה אתה זורק אבנים? יום
The guy
שבת?
asked, why throw stones on a Saturday? It's Saturday.
שבס.
He said, get out of your fence and kick out this European whore. And I believe he's talking about the journalist there, Andre, who's, I believe, behind the camera at this time. So he points at the camera, picks up a rock,
אני בא.
runs up to the front door, kicks the front door. This man tries to get the attention of the soldier. He says, "Soldier, he's throwing stones at my house. Is there anything you're gonna do? Can you tell him to stop? I'm trying to live here in peace." And again, he's threatening to come in here and murder me, and he's throwing shit at my house. Like, anything you want to do here about that? And of course, nothing.
עצור אותו.
בוא צא, אמרת טבע, לא? גרמניה.
אתה מניאק, אתה.
בוא יא אבן אל-נקליק, בוא.
Fucking Nazi fuck, get the fuck out of here.
בוא צא החוצה, אתה זין, בוא. בוא יא שגרן.
Fuck off.
fuck off? בוא תהיה גבר, בוא צא החוצה.
You fuck off.
שרמוטה. לא יודעת מפה.
لا لا مسك.
שרמוטה. בוא צא, אתה גבר, לא? יא מניה, בוא.
سلام well without checking. محمد صور عشان المشكلة عليه. مش طالع بدايرك مش طالع بدايرك صوروا منيح
يا بن زونا فقدان يا مخلص
Fucking hell. How often does this happen?
حيال عصورته عصورته ترى عصورته
Get the fuck out, you terrorist. Fuck.
عصورته حيال shoot him as you shoot Palestinians shoot him برجلين shoot him in his legs shoot him حيال.
Speaking, of course, about how the fact the IDF has absolutely no issues, shooting, Palestinian kids who pick up pick up stones or who are alleged to have picked up stones, right? So again, a little bit of using their own medicine against them in that statement.
As you shoot Palestinian kids, shoot him in the legs.
נזיין אותך. עוד 5 דקות על הבית שלך, יא שרמוטה, יא זין.
אני מפחד ממך.
אתה יודע שאתה מפחד.
כן.
כן, אם לא היית שם גדרות, יא מזדיין, יא מחוואף. לא היית שם... יא בן שרמוטה. לא היית שם גדרות, יא זין, יא מזדיין.
תודה.
Jesus.
This goes on. I don't know. This might be a 10-minute video, but it goes on. You can even see in the background at some points in time in this video the soldier just sitting there watching this all take place. And this happens, on a daily basis. You heard the guy say, "How often does this happen to you?" He says, a lot, right? I mean, so much that look at the fucking protection that they need. Metal doors, metal gates, metal bars, right? All for what? Existing. And this is, again, not supposed to be legal, not supposed to be within international law. But again, you got IDF soldiers and people just sitting there watching this shit happen. And you wonder why the international community's pissed. You wonder why when you see, what's going on in Lebanon, when you see what took place and continues to take place in Gaza, and you see what's taking place here in the West Bank, it's like you wonder why the fucking, the amount of support for Israel is going down on a fucking daily basis. It's taking a nosedive, right? It's crazy how that fucking happens. And again, at the same time, this is going on. We got our country here is so fucking deluded, so fucking stupid, so fucking corrupt, right? And so blackmailable that at the same time, simultaneously, we have the United States reporting on the fact that Israel is spying on us, right? They're eavesdropping on our conversations, at least with Donald Trump in Iran, the government in Iran, obviously in other places as well. At the same time, we're reporting on that and having to up the threat level, literally up the threat level because of the amount of spying that is done by Israel against our government. That's being reported. Same time that's being reported, we have Section 224 trying to make its way through Congress as part of the fucking budget, which would further integrate that fucking military with our military. Again, that same military that has now raised the threat level because of the spying. That government that has raised, we've had to raise the threat level because of the spying they're doing. And again, hold on, just so you don't think I'm blowing smoke up your ass here. Give me a second. Give me a second here. Yeah, well, there you go. Throw this on your screen real quick. So again, we're reporting this. Same time this is being reported, right? Pentagon sees growing espionage threat from Israel. The Defense Department has increased the counterintelligence threat assessment to its highest level, and Israel is believed to have eavesdropped on American negotiations with Iran. And I'm sure it's not the fucking first time, because we've talked about before how they suspected that they were being listened to and how they had put devices on different things or in and around where Donald Trump stays and shit like that. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I do remember the reporting. So the same time that's going on, you got Section 224, which is the United States military trying to further integrate with the fucking Israeli military, right? So that's like, I don't know, what's a good comparison? That's like again, you move into a new home, you sold a new home. After a while living in that new home, you discover that's fucking covered with hidden cameras, right? You discover cameras everywhere. Not only do you discover the cameras, but you discover the sick prick who put those cameras there, right? The disgusting motherfucker that put those cameras there. So what do? You find that guy, and then you bring him into your house and decide to ask him to live with you and your family? Does that make any sense? No? Do you integrate your life with that guy that set up these hidden cameras in your house to spy on you? To a guy that, needs intelligence and leverage to hold over our politicians, our people in power, so that we can continue sending them billions and billions and billions of dollars while getting fucking jack shit in return, besides getting fucking the side eye from the rest of the international community because of our partnership? And we want to partner up even more with these fucking people? Like, what are we talking about? It's the Twilight Zone after the Twilight Zone after the Twilight Zone when you start thinking about it, right? It's like, how can these things be simultaneously happening? You know what I mean? They're spying on us, but also let's more deeply integrate with those people, with that military, with that government. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about, right? They're now basically single-handedly keeping us out of peace talks, right? You can add in Donald Trump's incompetence. You can add in Donald Trump's willingness to say he's going to eradicate the Iranian people, obviously. But right now, that fucking line in the sand has been and will continue to be Israel and their fucking attacks on Lebanon, says the Iranian fucking side, says the Iranian leadership. Right. So again, single-handedly at this point, when we need peace, when we need the fucking ceasefire to happen so that these peace talks can engage, what happened? Benjamin Netanyahu went right out there and talked about how he wanted to escalate. He was going to continue pushing into Lebanon. He was escalating in Gaza. All of these fucking things, not curtailing what's going on in the West Bank. All of these things, again, go to directly fucking hamper any of these talks. Again, whatever talks may be or not may be ongoing, right? I mean, it remains to be seen, obviously, but they're sure as fuck not even going to start, and there's definitely not going to be an ending as long as Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel are conducting the military, are utilizing their military in the ways that they're utilizing them. Right? It's just not going to fucking happen. It's been said time and time and time again. It's been a line in the sand, and it hasn't moved. Much like none of the lines in the sand have moved for the Iranians. Meanwhile, everything on our side continues to flip-flop and go back and fucking forth. So just a little bit of the instability, obviously, that we've seen over the last few days. That, like I said, this video here with the Israeli settler could go on for another 5 or 6 minutes, but it's pretty clear as to how they're being treated and kind of the methods being utilized to try to remove them from land, again, that shouldn't have anything to do with Gaza, originally was not talked about, and now all of a sudden we've seen that, that creep into the West Bank become more and more blatant, more and more obvious, and more calculated, as it were, as well. So, all right, let's jump into this next article, this next video. Yeah, this is Simon Marks here. Typically, we talk about Simon Marks when he's on with James O'Brien on LBC, but apparently he's got enough insight and information to put out a video on his own. And this is, again, titled, quote, "Trump didn't have time to explain the war to Americans." Simon Marks, American Week. And like I said, I think he's asking on a more broader basis, like, how the hell did we get to this point? And then he details, I think, a couple statements from Trump over the last couple days as well. So like I said, just a couple minutes of this. I'm always curious how the foreign press and people from outside of the country are looking at what's taking place and viewing and what they expect to happen next as well. So again, that's why we typically like to dive into James O'Brien and LBC as well. So let's see if we can get through a couple minutes of this. I think coming up next, we got that Lego video. Yeah, we got the Lego video that absolutely destroys Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot, like much of them have. They've kind of all been touching on that, but this one does a pretty good job. So we'll take a look at that just after this clip here. Again, take it away, Simon Marks, detailing how the hell we got here, basically.
Never mind the full week. President Trump has been on quite a journey just over the last 5 days. Let's spool back to Monday afternoon when CNBC's anchor Eamon Javers gave him a call on that much-coveted cell phone number that Washington reporters have been scrambling to get hold of, and the president picked up. Mr. Javers takes it from there.
We had this report at the top of the day today that the Iranians were actually breaking off negotiations with the United States. That moved oil markets. And so that's what I asked the president about. I said, do you think the negotiations are over now, or is this a bluff by the Iranians? The president said, I don't care if they're over, honestly. I really don't care. I couldn't care less. If they're over, they're over. If they're not, I think they took too much time. Frankly, I think they started to get a little boring.
Oh, the talks got a little boring. That,
And
by the
people
way,
thought this, I mean, people called this, right? People were speculating that, Donald Trump was going to get bored of this if he didn't see an immediate victory, right? If this thing started to drag on and there was no kind of immediate answer to it, there was no immediate off-ramp for him to take, that he was just going to immediately lose interest in it. And it seems like that's coming to fruition. Right? Like, this, I don't care if the peace talks happen. I don't care if we keep bombing. It's like, well, you understand the ramifications of both of those things, right? Like, you understand the ramifications of coming out of this with the shitty peace deal that empowers Iran on the international stage, that, again, warrants the Gulf nations around them to give them more respect over the ability they have to control the Strait of Hormuz, to control the Bab el-Mandeb, to control, the global trade in general, right? I mean, people are going to have to respect that coming out of this, not to mention the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are potentially or likely to be sent to Iran for any negotiations, for any deal to come out of this. It's just, again, it's been a disastrous undertaking, to say the least, and I think it's pretty clear for everybody. But now Donald Trump seems to be in that realm of, all right, I don't care anymore type of thing, which is almost more dangerous than him thinking he could win this, right?
Was hauntingly familiar, because back in March, less than a month after he began his strategy-free war on Iran, the president's officials were privately telling reporters he was already getting bored with it. Imagine how bored he must be now it's June. If only he had an Xbox instead of access to the largest military arsenal in the world. We could all have been spared a lot of hassle, and American motorists could still be paying $2 a gallon. But he doesn't, they're not, and he appeared to concede in his conversation with Mr. Javers that they won't be for a long time to come.
He said, ultimately, if the Iranians want to try and have a nuclear weapon, I will blow them up to kingdom come. He said what this is all about for him is a strongly held conviction that the Iranians should not ever be allowed to have a nuclear weapon.
So again, typically, as you go into a negotiation, always good to threaten the, the mass extinction, the total annihilation of the group that you're supposed to be negotiating with. I'm sure that will time and time again result in the most beneficial outcome, and the best talks that could possibly take place is when you consistently tell them you're going to blow up the entire country and just kill them all. I'm sure that's what chapter was that in Out of the Deal? I forget at this point.
Voters will tolerate higher gas prices as long as they know what the goal is here.
But they don't know what the goal is here.
Correct.
First, because that strongly held conviction that Iran was on the brink of getting a nuclear weapon is not supported by any evidence. And the president himself said last month that he didn't have time to explain the conflict to American voters. If it sounds like you'd get more maturity from a 4-year-old, take a listen to what happened yesterday in the Oval Office. Pete Ducey, chief White House correspondent for Fox News, had heard whispers.
If it sounds like you'd get more maturity out of a 4-year-old. So again, in case you're thinking of what people outside of the country, and I know he's the Washington correspondent, so he's in Washington, but obviously, a British citizen. So if you're thinking about, what are people actually looking at? How do they actually view the United States and our leader at this point in time? Well, again, look no further than the fact that you may get more maturity out of a 4-year-old than you'll get out of the president of the United States.
That the president might agree to a face-to-face meeting with Iran's new supreme leader. I mean, that wouldn't be boring at all, would it?
If I did meet, I'd be honored to meet him. I'd like to see if we make a deal. But if we make a deal, it's possible that I would meet him. I'd be okay with it.
Did that happen here in the U.S.? White
Oh, I
House,
don't know. I haven't really heard too much about it. I didn't suggest it, but some people have suggested it. If it happened,
And again, this is the same guy that Trump said he didn't approve of, called him a weakling. Obviously, we've killed his father. We've killed a lot of his family. We've committed war crimes against children. We've bombed schools and hospitals. Does it seem like a situation that they're setting up for somebody that's going to be more amenable to negotiations and in a good relationship with the United States? Again, setting up the facts that we know about what's taking place. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump's now like, yeah, we'll bring him to the White House. I'll meet him. I'll shake his hand. I think he's great. He's a lovely person. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing?
And I'd be respectful.
But in what passes these days for Washington reporters holding power to account, Mr. Ducey pressed him. Did the president think that the new supreme leader might have a beef with him because he'd ordered the killing of the old supreme leader, who was his dad?
Well, I would say I'm not his favorite person. But with that being said, he's probably I don't know. He's probably a professional. In some circles, he has a very good reputation, actually. Sometimes
in some circles, he's got a very good reputation. I mean, again, talk about a rhetoric change, right? Talk about a complete and total 180 from things he was saying right after it was reported that he was becoming, the new leader, the new Ayatollah in Iran. Like, if you go back and look at what Trump was saying, it's not these things, okay? I can guarantee you he wasn't saying that. He had a good reputation in some circles. Again, the guy that's more hardlined, the guy that's more fucking affiliated with the IRGC, obviously, like we just said, the guy that had his father murdered by the United States and Israel, the guy that's seen bombs and missiles rain down on school children in his country. Like, is that something you think is going to lead us to good relationships, to a good partnership? You think this guy's going to accept a trip over here? Like, this is fucking delusional shit at its best.
People say bad, but a lot of people say bad about me. It's totally false, of course.
Now, I could remind you that the president has previously described the new supreme leader as unacceptable and a lightweight, and that he has also publicly questioned on numerous occasions whether Mojtaba Khamenei is even still alive. Or I could just ask you again, how did we get here to a place where an American president who has, on a whim, sent the entire global economy into an unnecessary crisis now can't really be bothered to clean up the mess he has created because he's bored by negotiations with Iran? Let's see how his Secretary of State and possible successor Marco Rubio couched things when he testified this week on Capitol Hill.
Oh, yeah, the war's over. I forgot. I should have led off the show with that. That's my fault. Typically, you should lead off the podcast with that thing, that general statement there, my mock. The war was over. Of course, it was probably more important to report on the fact that, the bombs and missiles were still being lobbed, and, Iran was still attacking U.S. bases and shooting drones into the Strait of Hormuz, and we were still hitting, launch sites, and we were still taking out radar installations, and, the Gulf nations were still having to intercept incoming drone missiles from the Iranians. All of that being said, but I should have reported right off the bat that Marco Rubio said that the war is over.
Questioned here by Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey.
Iran has lost a substantial percentage of their missile launchers, and their economy
is also not taking into account the fact that a blockade, which Donald Trump loves to state is being so highly effective right now, is in fact an act of war. Okay, so no matter which way they try to get out of this, just because they say or lie to us that no bullets and bombs and drones and missiles are being shot, which of course they are night after night after night after night. But even with those lies, doesn't matter, because the blockade in and of itself is an act of war. Okay, so we're at war, technically at war, regardless if those drones, missiles, and bombs continue to be shot, which they are. So both cases would depict a war. Okay.
far worse today, and I mean far worse today than it was 6 to 9 months ago. And they are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of reconstruction costs just to get to where they were 6 months ago.
Mr. Rubio, you keep telling us how we're winning this war. The president keeps saying,
well, the war's over.
Completely annihilated. The war is not over. And yet the American people see how we're losing at the pump and with their costs. And yet this thing still hasn't been resolved.
Now, there is another narrative possible here that while the American people are suffering, as Senator Booker indicated, in fact, the country's ruling elite is doing just fine, more than fine in many cases.
That's a great segue there. I appreciate you, Simon, for giving me that segue, because speaking of the ruling elite class here, we got a new Lego drop from Akon, basically, again, going after Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So I think, like I said, as a segue would lead me into it, let's talk about that elite billionaire class that's doing so well in their relationship with Donald Trump, because this is the latest one put out by, like I said, Akon.ai. And let's see, again, what trouble we can get into listening to this one. It says, insane new Lego track by Iran. Don't stop talking about Epstein. So let's see again what they're talking about here.
Your empire is done. You started the war, you thought you would win. Now look at the mess that your country is in. Look at it. Your generals crying, your plan was a bust. The promises made are now turning to dust. Marco Rubio was sweating, he's grilled on the floor. They asked for the billions you wasted on war.
You see his ears?
You You lied from day one, you keep capping a lot. But look at the straight, yeah, we got it on lock. Lockdown. You're begging for mercy, you're begging for peace, while telling your media Iran wants to cease. You sure? You're losing the straight, you're losing the state, and now the whole public is drowning in hate. You told, stop talking about Epstein. Now listen to the crowd.
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Louder!
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Don't stop talking about
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
louder!
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
You lied about Iran, said Navy is gone. You promised regime change from darkness to dawn. You're dreaming, your beautiful B-2s were flying so high, still shaking inside. You're about to cry. You stood on the stage, looking completely detached, saying, I don't care
Hegseth in the background with his fucking whiskey.
about voters as cash. Did he really say that? Yeah, he did. You care about ballrooms, luxury suites, while American families starve on the streets. Inflation is peaking, the economy's dead, but you worry about Israel instead. The corruption is deep, AI packs buying the state. Every politician's got a price on their plate. You're all just puppets dancing for funds, while Iran is standing and holding the guns. You're losing the straight, you're losing the state, and now the whole public is drowning in hate. You told, stop talking about Epstein. Now listen to the crowd.
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Louder!
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Don't stop talking about
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
louder!
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
You called yourself a king, but you're just a BJ queen. The biggest disaster, the
You called yourself a king, but you're just a BJ queen. I love they continuously show him in diapers, and he's definitely always in like some sort of BJ queen, or obviously his well-known suit. But if he's not in the suit, he's in a BJ queen outfit.
White House has seen your empire is done, 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 done. Pedal, done, 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 done.
Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
The war is lost.
Epstein.
You go fix your ballroom.
The fire is done. Pedal done.
So that again was Acon.ai with their latest about Donald Trump and his relationship, of course, with Jeffrey Epstein, and how he wants you to forget about that as quickly as possible. Obviously, we won't let that happen. And obviously, the AI Lego videos are not going to let that happen either, because that has been, pretty prominently featured in their videos, regardless of what account and what accounts putting those things out, because there's a ton of them putting them out at this point. But all right, let's dive into this. This is what everybody's talking about, so this will get to the meat of the matter, as it were. But no, not that one. God damn it, Brad. This one right here. This is just a couple clips, and then we'll look at the more prominently featured moment where Donald Trump storms out of this. But this was a disastrous interview from the fucking get-go. Again, whether it was Donald Trump looking disheveled, looking just decrepit as decrepit can be in this interview right off the jump, whether it was the weather, there was thunder and lightning and the rain. Good to do it under a metal roof when you knew it was going to be, torrential rain. Always good, because obviously nobody in that, in the vicinity of these people knows or has worked on like a farm or knows blue collar work at all. You typically, when it's heavy rain on a metal roof, it doesn't create the best sound environment for an interview, let's just say. But this says here, Aaron Rupar says, Trump looks swollen and unkept during his pre-recorded Meet the Press interview. And I do have to agree. He looked very disheveled. He looked very unkept. His hair was all over the place. He looked greasy. Check this out.
President Trump, welcome back.
I mean, he just looks like, look at that. I mean, do I need to say more? Is there more that I need to add? And I do apologize if you just had some lunch. That lunch just immediately came back up, I can assure you. But, he doesn't look alive half the time. You know what I mean? He doesn't look long for this place. But, that's something that everybody noticed right off the bat. And there was obviously a couple moments in this before he stormed out where he's going through, Iran just attacked U.S. allies in the region. Is the U.S. at war with Iran? And he says, again, he calls it a military exercise. So I just want to flip through just a couple of these dumber, quicker clips. And then Aaron has the part where Donald Trump decided to storm out because, again, Kristen Welker in some way, shape, or form decided to push back. And I believe it was the 2020 election bullshit, or maybe it was January 6th. He was lying about one of the two things. But again, let's just go over a couple of these clips. This is the ridiculousness of him calling it a military exercise, when in fact, again, a blockade is an act of war in and of itself. not to mention the radar sites, the missile installations, and all of those things that we continuously shoot at every single night.
Retaliation for a set of U.S. airstrikes.
Yeah, I'll play at the beginning. My apologies.
Iran. Sunday will mark 100 days since the first strikes.
Yep.
Your Secretary
Day
of
100, day 100.
State Marco Rubio said that the war had concluded. And yet just this week, Iran attacked U.S. allies in the region, calling it retaliation for a set of U.S. airstrikes. Is the United States at war with Iran?
Yes.
Well, they've been largely decapitated, and I call it a military exercise because people would rather
Jesus, he looks
have it
like
called that. It's
shit.
not a big war for us. It's not. We're the most powerful.
It's like if a piece of corn and a piece of shit had cancer, that's what it would look like, I feel like. You know what I mean? If like the corn in the shit had cancer, that's what it would come out looking like. But you know, add this on to the fact that in one of his last interviews, who did he sit down with? Was it Miranda Devine in like the Pod Force One podcast that he said he never even touched the military? He basically left Iran's military alone. Remember that? That was just what, last week? Was it even a week ago at this point? Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. I didn't even touch Iran's military. We didn't even go after them at all. We have sunk their navy. We attacked all of their air force, shot down all their planes, as Donald Trump would have you believe. We took out all their missiles. We took out all their drones, but we didn't touch the military. But also, they have capabilities left. While also, it's like he tries to have it every single angle. You know what I mean? You can't say you eradicated the military. You can't say you eradicated the leadership while also saying that you didn't touch the military. That's the two things cannot happen at the same time. That's oil and water right there.
Military in the world. I built it, frankly. I built it in my first 4 years, and I'm using it a little bit in my second 4 years. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft.
He didn't touch the military. Left the military alone.
Is gone. They might have built it up a little bit over the last 4 weeks during this little ceasefire that we did at the request of some very good people, very, very fine people from actually from numerous places. As you know, there are a lot of people involved, but from Pakistan in particular, the field marshal.
Can't name one of them. Can't remember a single name of a person that's involved in either the peace talks and the negotiations, anything. None of those things. Here's again where he goes on to degrade the lives of the 13 servicemen and women that were lost. Again, trying to, I think he does this about 14 separate times in this interview where he goes back to like Vietnam. Right, where it's like, okay, we were in Vietnam for this long, we lost this many people in Vietnam, but also not recognizing that at some point we were only in Vietnam for 100 days, right? So 100 days in this war, at some point, Vietnam had only gone on 100 days. And then after that, it was another 100 days. And then after that, it was another 100. So you can see how this thing can progress, even though we're at 100 now. And he loves to say, well, it's a lot less than a lot of these other wars. Well, guess what? All of those other wars had a day 100 as well. You know what I mean? So can't rule that out. This is where he's questioned about who's leading Iran, and I think this is very telling because just like he can't name any of the peace negotiators, the mediators working, whether it's from the Pakistani group or obviously the Iranian group, he just struggled to name a single one. He does the same thing here when he says, when he's questioned about who's leading Iran, and he says, well, you should know because he can't say a name.
And we won't do it.
Yeah, you just referenced the 13 Americans who were killed. And I want to know what your red line is. What would trigger you to restart military action? Would it be Iran killing more American citizens?
Well, certainly that would be something that I would think about very seriously. But my red line would be if I think I wasn't going to make a deal or if I wasn't going to make a deal fast enough. So we're having very good negotiations with the people that are leading the country now.
He's not. Not only is he not having good negotiations, last time I checked, they weren't having any fucking negotiations because of, again, what Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel continue to do in the red line in the sand that the Iranians have drawn in saying they weren't going to negotiate. And again, if they do negotiate, there's a lot of things that the United States is going to have to stipulate to that is not going to make Donald Trump look so good.
It's the third group that we've been dealing with. And they are different. And you could say it's regime change, actually, because these are very different people.
You can't in any way, shape, or form say it's regime change. You can't. It's the same fucking family. It's the same fucking family. Not only that, a more hardline member of the family, a guy more pissed off that you killed his father, a guy more pissed off that we committed war crimes, a guy more pissed off that we've attacked children in schools and hospitals and all the... No, this is not a regime change by any stretch of the imagination. He also says somewhere in this, and we don't have to, obviously I'm not going to dive into the entire interview, but he says that we took over the entirety of Venezuela. Like, what? What the fuck are you talking about?
I find it to be more rational very smart.
Who is that? Who's leading
Well,
the
I don't go into
country?
names, but you know who they are. I mean, they're leaders. They're respected. Respected by the.
Yeah, they're leaders, and you know the names, and they're respected, and I have absolutely no idea who I'm talking about. But you just give me somebody, give me a name, so I can say it back to you, so I can make it look like I know what I'm talking about. So he's asked very directly, "Who's leading Iran? Who are you talking to?" And he says, "I don't want to go into names. They're leaders. They're respected by the people that have to respect them." Just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, right? Let's see here. Let's see. This is another one. There was a bunch of these dumb fucking moments as well. It's a lot of missiles. Oh, this is where he's asked what type of capabilities, military capabilities Iran still has left. And I do believe this is the first time I've heard Trump say that they had anything left. So now he's having to admit, and I think, as it says here, he says the number is 22% of missiles left. Not what Donald Trump's been saying. He said he eradicated all of their missile capabilities, all of their drone capabilities, which, of course, we know is horseshit, considering they send up missiles and drones on a nightly basis at this point. But even coming from the United States intelligence, it's much higher than that. Right? It was 40, 50, 60, even as high as 70%. Listening to the Iranians themselves, they had as much as 120% of their original stockpile. Of course, they have every reason to say that, but somewhere in the middle has got to be the truth. So Donald Trump on the low end is now saying 22%. The U.S. intelligence agencies say 70% is somewhere closer to what type of capabilities they still have left. So again, somewhere in the middle has got to be that. But this is the first time I've heard Trump say that they have, in fact, at least a quarter of their percentage of their missile capability still left, after he said that these eradicated them all, they're militarily defeated and all of this bullshit. So here you go.
Military. They have some missiles left. They have some drones left.
Do you know how many missiles?
Yes, exactly.
How many?
I don't want to tell you.
Can you give me a ball?
Do you know how many drones they have? Yes, exactly. Well, how many? I don't want to tell you. Can't tell you. That's like, I have a really hot girlfriend. She just doesn't go to this school, right? She goes to the school just on the other side of the tracks. They don't have cameras there. Unfortunately, they never do anything where we could see them. But believe me, she doesn't have social media either. That's unfortunate. You won't be able to confirm that way either. But do trust me. She's a 10. She's blonde. She's really beautiful, but you're never going to see her, unfortunately. It's like the same thing he's saying here. Like, okay, well, how much do they have left? Right. Well, I'm not going to tell you. I know I know the number. It's a very specific number that I know, but I can't tell you.
Some left. No, but I know almost to the number.
Almost.
And we know where they are too. And we know where their drones are, and we know where their drone factories are. Most of the drone factories have been knocked out. Most of the launching pads have been knocked out, and most of the missile manufacturing areas have been knocked out. But they still have capacity.
The missile manufacturing areas. What the fuck is a missile manufacturing area? What?
They have some missiles. They have some drones.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say percentage-wise, maybe 21, 22% of their missiles. It's a lot of missiles, but it's not what it was.
So 100 days in, right? And just taken by his account, taking what he's saying, they still have nearly a quarter of all of their missile and drone capabilities. And again, I don't know if he's specifying their drones and missiles separately, but still, even a quarter of their stockpile of missiles or drones taken separately in day 100 after, again, we are supposed to have eradicated their military capabilities in the first 2 days of this, is, again, a huge fucking backtrack, okay? He's now Homer Simpson himself back into the bushes to have to say or admit even this. And again, this is based off of the intelligence reports and assessments that we've brought up time and time again on this show, whether it's the ability that Iran has to withstand the blockade, the time in which that they can just basically put up with it, or again, their military capabilities that they still have left and continue to be able to produce as far as Shaheds, drones, and other things, right? So now this is that huge walk back here Donald Trump's having to make. Well, they still have 22%, roughly about 22% of their capability. Well, that's not what you've been telling us this entire time, and obviously doesn't go to depict a war that's almost over. If in day 2 you said their military was decapitated, they couldn't do anything militarily, and now in day 100 you're telling us that they still have, at the very least, like I said, this is what the numbers that he's putting out, intelligence assessments, put the percentage far higher than what he's saying. But even what he's saying, we'll take it take his word for it here in this argument, for at least this argument, a quarter of their capabilities, day 100. It's like, well, that's not at all what the fuck you've been telling us is what's going on, or the effectiveness that the U.S. military has had. But what do you say? We'll go into this. This is where the rain starts, showing you how ridiculous it is to have an interview with the president of the United States in a barn with a metal roof when you know you're going to have fucking torrential downpours. But this is Donald Trump recognizing the sound and then being like, what is that?
If anybody went there, any digging mechanism.
Listen to the rain hitting the roof. They almost can't hear each other. They're about 2.5 feet apart. They can't even hear each other. Huh? What? It's like, yeah, maybe you could have picked somewhere else to do this. I don't know.
Any truck, any tractors, anything, anybody went there, we would know, we will take care of it. Is that wind or what?
Is that rain?
What is that?
Rain.
What is that? I've never heard rain on a metal roof before. I've never been in an environment where people work and there's like work buildings around. What is that? What is that odd noise I'm hearing? It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, I know it's very, I don't know. It's very like, what would you say? It's very telling, and it's very, you know, it's right in line with what you'd expect from a barn animal here, and you know, sitting around all the shit for Donald Trump to be interviewed in a barn. But you'd think, I don't know, maybe if you have some important things to be talking about, quite like a war going on, and you know, like the effect and the impact on the American people, you'd do it in a place where you couldn't get interrupted by fucking torrential rain on a metal roof.
The first of multiple interruptions due to the weather. Rain hitting the metal roof, making it difficult for both of us to hear each other.
Just a fucking shit show.
As we're having this conversation, we can hear a little bit of rain.
No, a lot of rain.
A little bit of rain.
A lot of rain. Let me...
Let me ask you a question. Like, you fucking idiots. Bunch of incompetent. All right, let's get into a couple of the parts here that really forced Donald Trump to eventually get up out of his diaper and walk off the set. Let me see here. I know there was a couple like 2-minute segments here we could get into as well. Let me go to these ones here. I'll sacrifice where I'll save you the the hurt and the harm of going through all of these clips here, because again, there was a ton of dumb moments in this. All right, let me see here. There was this one where she talks about the slush fund, so we can get into this one as well. And then they get into January 6th, obviously, as it pertains to the slush fund, and then going on to the election. And that's where Donald Trump crashes out right here and actually storms off the set of this interview. While Kristen Welker says how far she traveled and please, can you sit down for a few more questions? So again, this is talking about the slush fund, and then there's one about the election, and then there's one where he storms out, and then we'll get on to our next topic here. But you know, just so we can see his fucking demented ass waddle off the set. There you go.
Against them. It's been blocked by the court.
Let me start at the beginning.
This $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. It was going to compensate people who say the federal government.
Oh, and again, before we dive into this, I should probably state, as you'll probably hear now, that you know we probably should have demanded a little bit more from Todd Blanche as far as putting this in writing. We talked about the other day how he said this was dead. This was not going to happen. Don't worry about it. This slush fund wasn't moving forward. It was too unpopular, yada, yada. Well, Donald Trump apparently never got that fucking memo. Because Donald Trump seems to be looking for other ways in which he seems to be defending it, seems to be talking about it like it's still going to happen. So again, we talked about other routes and kind of ways in which they were going to try to enact this, which is why we suspected Todd Blanche didn't want to put anything in writing. Well, now we're hearing from from Donald Trump himself that he fucking, and again, why doesn't Donald Trump, from the billions that he's made already in his second term, pay these cocksuckers out of his own pocket if he thinks it's so worth it, right? If he's so passionate about these criminals and getting money and enriching them, why doesn't he do it out of his own pocket? Why is he going to involve taxpayer funds in the government? But again, there's Donald Trump basically talking like this thing isn't dead. It's something that he definitely wants to see happen. And, it seems like they're going to try to find a way to make it happen.
Weaponize the legal system against them. It's been blocked by the courts, met with opposition from Republicans
and Democrats
in Congress and Democrats.
Excuse me, mostly Democrats.
Mostly
Some
Democrats and
not
some
mostly
Republicans.
Democrats.
Very few Republicans.
Just to be very clear, are you backing off the fund completely, as your acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has said, or are you looking for another avenue to revive
So
the
let me
fund?
explain what the fund is. People have been hurt so badly.
So again, not saying that it's dead, not saying that it's done, not saying that Todd Blanche was correct in his statements. Right off the bat, he goes right into defending it and telling you why it's necessary and why it's ridiculous for people to be against it. So that doesn't tell me somebody, that doesn't show me somebody that's willing to go do away with this idea that again is so incredibly corrupt and unpopular that even fucking Todd Blanche had to go in front of Congress and apparently lie and say that this wasn't going to happen anymore.
By radical left lunatics that worked for the Biden administration
Listen to the rain.
Sleepy Joe. They're vicious, they're violent.
And the balls, the fucking balls that this guy, we know he doesn't have, but you know, the gall to talk about Sleepy Joe Biden again as the world's watching him fall asleep time and time and time again in front of cameras at really important meetings, at cabinet meetings. Like, again, the fucking the mental delusion you need to be under to think that you could rightly say that and continue to say that, and nobody's going to point out your fucking sleepiness and your inability to keep your goddamn eyes open and the mental decline that you've been under the last, I don't know, God knows how long.
They did to people. And of course, they went after me more than anybody else. They raided Mar-a-Lago and all the other things. But people have been badly hurt. They've committed suicide. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their families. They've lost their wives. They've lost everything. They've lost everything over a fake weaponization of government. Now,
So
let
are
me
you
just tell
looking
you.
for a way to revive it?
Well, look, if it was up to me, I'd pay them the kind of money that they deserve. People
Well, it is up to you. It is up to you. You're just a cheap fucking prick, and all the money that you've stolen from your second term here, you want to keep for yourself, you selfish bastard, right? If you really felt that strongly about it, you seem to have the pockets deep enough, right, to make this thing whole, to make these people, happy if you want to make them happy. But you don't want to do that. You want to utilize taxpayer funds, right? You want to utilize the fucking government to do it, to pay out your cronies, to pay out the criminals that were doing the dirty deeds for you. So again, if you felt that fucking strongly about it, pony up, fat man, pony up. You know what the fuck? Why are you involving us?
been destroyed. Lives have been destroyed. Many suicides. Think of it. People have committed suicide because a bunch of thugs went after them. So, me personally, I think the weaponization fund is a great idea. And so do many other Republicans. You have to get it approved. If they get it approved, that's great.
Listen to the rain is insane. The fact that they're still trying to get this done is ridiculous. But she goes on to push back a little bit here about January 6th, where, like I said, credit where credit is due, even to, whatever minuscule amount, whatever minuscule percentage she pushes back here. She does, in fact, say that there was no evidence suggesting anything that Donald Trump is now stating in this next clip. But he's, again, trying to make it seem like it is justified. It is the right thing to do to, again, pay these criminals, January 6 criminals that pled guilty to beating up police officers that Donald Trump now wants to enrich, that now, after have pardoned them, now wants to enrich them for the crimes they committed at his behest, right, on his behalf. So, again, here's another incident here that led to eventually this next clip of Donald Trump storming off the set here. So we'll get through this one, and then we'll show you where Donald Trump storms off in the next one. But here we go.
Be reimbursed for that.
Do you think?
Sorry, you almost can't hear them. And I know Twitter sucks as far as sound, but it's not much better anywhere else because of the rain on the metal roof.
Anyone who attacked police officers on January
She's basically screaming right now.
6 should get taxpayer money?
Well, she said, sorry if you can't hear, but she asked him basically, do you think anybody that attacked a police officer on January 6th should get taxpayer money is the question.
I wouldn't be inclined to say so, but I have to see it.
Didn't say no. Didn't say fucking no. Right off the bat. I mean, again, and we've talked about how he could continuously push the rest of this bullshit from January 6th. He could continuously push the rest of these lies that he tells about the 2020 election or the 2024 election. Like, he could consistently push that shit while also saying that, no, anybody that was violent against a fucking police officer, and again, this is the lowest human fucking bar that he could reach, and he can't even do that. Right. But he could be, saying that, nobody that beat up a cop should ever get taxpayer money, while also being able to continue his lies and propaganda and the bullshit about everything else. But he can't even afford, he can't even do that. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the common sense to even admit that much. Right. He just doesn't care. He wants to see them enriched so much. And he's so happy that they took up arms in his fucking, in his defense, that he wants to enrich them, that he thinks they're such great people, that he pardoned them and now wants to give them taxpayer money to make them fucking wealthy, because of, again, the crimes they committed against this government.
Tell you this, 97% of those people, you look at them, the FBI or whoever it was, because you had a lot of crooked cops, you had dirty cops. Comey was a dirty cop.
Well,
a guy like
what the fuck does Comey have to do with January 6th? What date? I mean, what year does this guy think it is? Does he remember what year January 6th was? What the fuck does Comey have to do with January 6th, right? I think what he's talking about is the Ray Epps bullshit, right? Where they all were trying to say that Ray Epps got everybody to go charge and storm the Capitol. Not talking about why people were there to begin with to even give him that opportunity, but I digress.
Was a dirty
But
cop.
there's no evidence.
Wait a minute, wait a
people
minute.
Who,
Oh,
we
you
had
think Comey was a
170
straight
people
cop?
who pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers.
Again, I know it's tough to hear, but she's saying basically, what about the people that pled guilty? Like, we're not talking about the people that said that they were innocent and ended up getting found guilty anyway. We're talking about the people that pled guilty, said themselves that they were guilty of the crimes that they were, accused of committing.
The dirty cop.
No, but
they
the
had
people who
FBI.
assaulted police
Listen to
officers.
me. They had FBI agents ushering
Listen to me.
into the building. They had FBI go into the building. Those people walking around, they're looking always in this thing.
Yeah, it was a tourist. It was a tourist visit. It was just a fucking tourist visit, right? I mean, they were walking around looking just astonished at the shit on the walls, apparently, or the fact that people were walking out with lecterns, or people were walking out with Nancy Pelosi's fucking laptop, or people were trying to hunt down Mike Pence, and that there was a gallows with a noose out front, like the whole 9 yards. They had that built right out front there, that they, smashed their way in, and that they were trying to stop the counting of a free and fair election, or the certification, I should say, of a free and fair election. Like, none of those things is being talked about, obviously, in this interview, but
they were being ushered into the building.
and she does, to give her credit, she continues pushing back and saying there's no evidence of anything that you're saying. There's no evidence of that. We're talking about people that pled guilty. So again, credit where credit is due to somebody that I have a lot of issue with.
A bunch of dirty cops, and frankly, what they did was weaponization of our government.
But sir, there's no evidence of that. More than 1,000 people.
There's none. You know what you do? Try looking at the tapes one time.
Would you take it off the table?
The tapes one time.
Look at the tapes one time. You mean the tapes that Tucker Carlson was supposed to play on a continuous loop on his show, but found out really quickly that it was going to lock up a lot more people if he did in fact play the unredacted, no blurred faces footage of what took place on January 6th. A lot more people that somehow got to evade prosecution were going to get wrapped up in that fucking process. So he found out quite quickly that people were calling his fucking show and saying, hey, how about you don't play that footage? Like right now, I've managed to not get arrested. So if you play that footage of my face clearly on that screen, I'm probably going to get a knock on the door sometime soon. So that went by the wayside pretty fucking quickly. But, Trump thinks that now if you pull up these tapes again, you're going to see something different. But, to save some time, here's where Trump actually walks out of this interview.
Look at what's
He can't handle the questions, can't even handle the slight pushback that Kristen Welker was giving him. So let's play this again. He storms out, steps on the microphone, ends it abruptly, as he's done in a bunch of his interviews where he doesn't like the way it's going. So he's obviously not going to sit there and continue to look like a fucking fool.
Happened in California.
To that?
It's
The
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days. And they aren't even close to coming up with it.
How they count
You know
the
why
votes
they're
in
doing that?
California.
Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
I have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
That's not evidence.
Listen.
So he's talking about election interference or election rigging in California that they've been talking about since the fucking elections happened, right? She says, well, do you have evidence of this? And no, absolutely not. He doesn't have evidence. All he has to do is look. A guy that clearly can't keep his eyes open for more than a fucking 10-second stretch wants you now to believe that he can just see something through his vision. Again, the vision that is now more consistently in the majority of the time looking through his fucking eyelids, which are closed. He now wants you to believe that vision leads him to believe that he just knows there's some funny business happening.
And I listen to people, and let's see what happens.
But sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in
Do you
California.
think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked.
So this is where he loses it, right? This is where he's finally said, okay, I'm looking like an asshole. She's kind of called me out on not having evidence there. She's not making my points for me. So he's basically said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to attack her. Now I have to make it about, Meet the Press. I have to make it about Kristen Welker. I have to start calling her names. And then after that, I got to storm out to make it seem like I can save face somehow. So that's kind of the decision, the switch that has just been made inside his demented, decrepit head there.
Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
You know why I
You
got
didn't win in a landslide.
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country.
court.
We're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked.
Your elections. He's the current president of the United States, and he's consistently saying your elections. Like, you mean your elections?
And Meet the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But
He's
Mr.
losing
One
it.
side
He's
is
losing
crooked
it.
Networks. All right, let's call it quits because
See?
I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the
So
way
he throws the mic down. You can see the mic. He just threw it on the floor. It's now on the ground.
to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the
traveled
rain with
all.
you.
I know. I
I've sat in the
traveled
rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour.
Wisconsin.
On and off.
And
in the
again,
rain.
I don't know why she continuously subjects herself to this, right? As you'll see here, she's talking about how she's traveled all this way to Wisconsin to have this fucking interview, right? Only to be called an idiot, only to be called stupid and crooked and partisan. Like, why they consistently fucking subject themselves to this? Like, you might as well call them out. You might as well just go the whole way. I mean, if you're going to consistently be called stupid and have them blow up, like, go the entire fucking way. Bring all the facts. Bring all the fucking evidence. Call out every word that he says. At least make it worth it, right? And again, like I said, credit where credit is due. I'm pushing back on the election stuff and the January 6th stuff. Obviously, is as difficult as it was to hear because of the torrential fucking rain on the metal roof. Again, great. Whoever the production team was that decided to set this one up. I don't know, but. Credit where credit is due for calling it out, but he couldn't even handle that much. And he ended up losing his ever-loving mind there, pulling out the same rhetoric and calling him stupid. But here's another thing that she was questioning him on. We didn't get to, and I won't subject it to, but she questioned him on the basic, the no new wars, right? So I just wanted to play this quick compilation. Let me see if there was another one. I'll just play this real quick. Just kind of go back here. Let me go back. Share this one instead. I thought it was one of the first ones where she says about no new wars. Diesel's up. This is where he says we took Venezuela in a matter of minutes. Let me see here. Awkward silence. Yeah, here it is right here. This is just a real quick clip where she's questioning him about no new wars on the campaign trail. And then we'll show that quick compilation. Then we'll go on to our next story real quick.
So you're saying you didn't break your promise, and yet, Mr. President, in your first term, you held to that promise, and it was so fundamental to who you were as a candidate to a first-term president. What changed? Because you insisted no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war.
Oh, now he didn't guarantee no new wars. It was just like a statement that he used to say at some of his rallies and all of his campaign things. And basically every time he was in front of a camera or a microphone, he was saying this, but he didn't guarantee, right? It wasn't like you should have known that when I continue to say that I rebuilt the military, of course I was going to use it.
Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. I inherited a terrible military.
Yeah. So any idiot that thought he was going to do no new wars or no regime change wars or no forever wars in the Middle East, like you should have known better. Like at the same time I was saying no new wars, I was also telling you that I rebuilt the military, which he didn't, but he was saying that he did. So obviously he was going to use it. So now he's just basically saying that he didn't say no new wars.
Equipped and we had nothing. I built a tremendous military. Biden gave a lot of it away, but it's still a relatively small portion compared to what I built.
But you said it over and over again, Mr.
Why would
President.
I build a military? Now,
why would I build a military? I don't know. Let's see here. You did an A for one, and then you did say this. Let me throw this one on the screen. Like I said, this quick little compilation of how many times Donald Trump said no new wars before the 2024 election, right? And again, we don't have to watch this whole thing. I think
said, he's going to start a war because they said I had that personality to start a war. They remember that? Oh, we can't vote for him. He's going to start a war. No, I used my personality that we didn't have to have wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. Who started no new wars. No new wars. No new wars. We don't need the wars, foreign lands, countries you've never heard of, countries that don't even want us there. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We never got into a war with me. I have a great record. We had peace. We had prosperity. We had no wars.
We had no wars. That started no wars. We didn't have a war. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will expel the warmongers from our government. And we had no wars. When you see all the people that died in these horrible wars in the Middle East and everything else, countries didn't want us. Look at Trump. Just look at this guy. He's going to go to war. He's going to take us. No. Look at me. I'm the one that kept us out of war. You know, I'm the only president that didn't start a war. I didn't start a war.
This president, no wars.
Started no wars. You're going to end up in a war. Or war or no war. They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades that didn't start a war. They're the party of endless wars. I was the first president in decades who started no new war. The wars all over. He said, bring back Trump. It'll all end. It all ended. We had no problem. I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president. Remember when crooked Hillary Clinton used to say, he's going to get us into a war. Look at him. Look at his rhetoric. I said, no, my rhetoric's going to keep us out of wars. That's what happened.
So again, just a few of the instances in which Donald Trump, and that's before he was even talking about really running again and how he was not going to start any new wars going forward. Like, this is basically just giving himself credit for his first term and how he used to come out of that saying he started no new wars. That's what most of that was. So again, you could make that probably 3 times as long, putting together his fucking rhetoric at his rallies and again all of the other interviews that he's done at basically promising people going forward that he wasn't going to start any new wars as well. So just to make it abundantly clear how much he's lied to the people and how much military force and use we've actually seen out of Trump in this second administration compared to what he promised the American people, compared to the price reduction in energy, the price reduction in groceries, the price reduction in basically all aspects of life. We've now seen many more wars, much more use of the military, more dead soldiers, more civilians killed, and much more much higher cost as far as prices are concerned, whether that's gas, groceries, energy, you name it, clothes, anything that you guys now need to go about your daily life is now made much more expensive at the behest, at the hands of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. And, to say that consistently, he doesn't care when it ends, what type of deal is done, if we bomb or if we do sign a peace deal, again, just goes to show you the uncertainty of the future of this, right? There's just no pretty clear or consistent, reporting that we could look at that would give us an off ramp, that would look or give us, details as to where we're going to be in 3, 6, 9 months, a year down the road. It's kind of, it's up for debate and depends on the whim of a madman here that we're all led by. But all right, let me throw this one on the screen as well. I think this was... Yeah, this is from Jay in Kyiv. We'll go into a little bit of the Ukraine reporting, as it were. This is from Jay in Kyiv. Let me throw this on the screen. This is more devastating strikes by Ukraine's armed forces across Russia last night, among which being the massive fuel depots at Ust-Labinsk, containing up to 15,000 cubic meters of gasoline and diesel. This storage and transshipment facility receives fuel and refineries and redistributes it to by rail and road. Ust-Labinsk sits in Krasnodar Krai, one of Russia's most important logistic regions for supporting operations in southern Ukraine and occupied Crimea. And here's just a little bit of the footage coming from that as well. Let me see. Throw this on the screen. So again, just detailing the ongoing campaign that the Ukrainians have to, again, go after Russia's oil refineries, their ports, the transportation, logistics, anything having to do with funneling money to this war that they continuously are fighting here. Here's another one. Ukrainian drone struck an oil depot at Ust-Labinsk, Krasnodar Krai, triggering a large fire at the facility. So again, just some other footage and angles from that same strike there. 3 important facilities are burning across Russia today. Long-range sanctions have reached an oil depot in Ust-Labinsk, which we talked about, the Antopinsky oil refinery in Tyumen, one of Russia's largest private oil refineries, and the Marine Thermal Engineering Research Institute in Lomonosov, near St. Petersburg, a key enterprise involved in the development of weapons and equipment for Russia's submarine fleet. So again, just detailing just a few of the successful strikes that we saw from the Ukrainians. But before I do this, I probably should have done this one first, because let me get into this and then we'll go into the updates And then at the end of the show, I'll see if I can give my 2 cents on the whole Graham Plattner issue as well. Before I get you guys out of here, like I said, a lot of people asking for my 2 cents, so my 2 cents you shall get. But I'm going to throw this on here because this is Candace Owens' worst and most ridiculous attempt at just a clear ripping off of Tucker Carlson's Kremlin propaganda he did. How many years was that? About a year or two ago at this point? Like I said, everything kind of jumbles as far as time is concerned, but I'm going to say about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, Tucker Carlson went to Moscow, went to Russia, and put out these just ridiculous propaganda pieces of like, oh, they have grocery stores here. Oh my God, look at the Russian bread. Oh, all the stuff that we've been told and the lies and the Western media and yada, yada, yada bullshit. It's clean and it's, I'm not dead and all these bullshit things that he says, again, which nobody over here really kind of, that's not our complaints. That's not like the problems that we have with Russia is not like the beauty of Moscow. I don't think anybody over here has really, said that, Moscow in itself, as far as architecture in a city, isn't a beautiful city, or St. Petersburg. Like that's ridiculously removed from any of the arguments that we actually do have against Vladimir Putin, the government of Russia, and obviously the war that they're enacting, the war that they're perpetrating every single day. Obviously, we have things to say about the Russian citizenry and what we would like to see them do as far as pushing back, taking back control. But I'm sure other countries have that same look that they're now, saying about us too. So it's very specific. It's very easy to depict what our arguments are and what our problems are with Russia, obviously with the war machine, obviously with their military, obviously with their government, obviously with the dictatorship he's got going on over there. Not so much as the, with the architecture, which is, again, something that you'll hear time and time again from these Kremlin propagandists. But it was Andrew Tate. It was Andrew Tate's brother. It was Candace Owens. Basically went to St. Petersburg for the Russian Davos. You can tell how they were struggling to get kind of high profile people to go there. So I guess Candace Owens was the next best thing. But listen to her here do the same Russian Kremlin style propaganda, like the West lied to us, the media lied to us. I went to this specific place in the capital city and it was clean, or I went to this street in St. Petersburg and it was clean. And oh my God, they have churches. Oh my God, they must be the best people in the world. Why are we fighting? Type of thing, right? So I just want to be able to call out at least a little bit of her bullshit here before we go on to some of the updates in Ukraine from some of their recent strikes as well. So let's throw this on. About a minute or two we'll get by. It shouldn't take too much more than that to kind of figure out her plan of attack here, her angle of attack.
I've just been stunned by the beauty. I have not yet been able to run around St. Petersburg because we just got in yesterday, but I was in Moscow, and Moscow was positively stunning. It defied, I didn't really have any expectations, but if I had any, they would have been defied by just how clean, how safe, how beautiful, how historic the city is.
How clean, how beautiful, how safe, how historic. Like it's, oh my God, it's like the best place in the world. It's like so much better than anywhere in the United States. Like this is the same shit Tucker Carlson was doing. Like, oh, their fucking grocery stores are better than our grocery stores. Their subways are better than our subways. Oh my God, they have escalators. It's like, what are we doing? Are you surprised and you're shocked that they have fucking trolley? Like they have put, trolley cards that you put in I forget what he said, a quarter or something like that. You get it, and then you get the quarter. Like he was so fucking astonished by what was taking place over there in his like willingness to do propaganda for the Russians. Same thing here. It's so clean. It's so beautiful. It's so that, well, guess what? Take a few steps outside of the highly curated fucking tourist spots that you were brought to. I can assure you, right? Go a few miles outside of Moscow. Go a few miles outside of St. Pete, and then tell me what you're looking at, right? Tell me what scenes you're seeing. Tell me what type of lives the people are living compared to the Muscovites and compared to the people living in the bigger cities, obviously in Russia. So I think you'd be very surprised. Not only that, but at what cost is that city or is that street clean based off of the authoritarianism, based off of the lack of freedom that the people have? Like, is it not a trade-off, right, that some people or most people in Russia would fucking happily take as far as, I don't know, maybe having a little bit more freedom? If you could have a little bit more freedom, would you put up with like a McDonald's wrapper that you could clearly pick up yourself and throw in the trash if you saw it on the ground? Like, I think that's a trade-off the Russian people would take at this point, right? So it's the same thing that Donald Trump's trying to establish here in the United States, these dictatorial, authoritarian pieces of shit. And it's all about like their capital city, the cleanliness, how big the monuments can be, right? I mean, look around the world today. Turkmenistan, look at any of the North Korea, right? Pick your poison as far as autocratic states and dictators around the world, and they all have the same thing that they want. They all want to make the capital the best, the cleanest, the biggest, the biggest monuments, the most monuments. It's fucking, it's the same thing that he's trying to do here, right? It's no different. It's like this like warped view, this warped, demented mindset that these dictators have. And it's like they must build up all the monuments they can to themselves, and they must portray themselves as the cleanest and the biggest and the best and the strongest and the fastest. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's crazy how every single one of them has the same thoughts and beliefs and goals to a certain extent. But she goes on here to again try to make people believe that I don't understand why there's like some animosity between the world and the Russians, and like why the United States isn't working hand in hand. It's like, gee, I don't know, the whole fucking war, the thousands of dead people, the war crimes. Should we go on?
Call it the like Cold War hangover, where there's not really an explanation, but they just sort of tell you Russia is a no-no and a no-go. And you, as obviously I'm at an age now where I have to have experience.
It's for no reason, because they haven't been known to kidnap different Americans to use them as leverage to get back different people that have been captured either by the United States or Ukraine, right? We haven't talked about the Brittany Griner issue. We haven't talked about how they do that to their own citizens that are looking to defect, how they go around the planet basically taking out people that have left Russia or have negative things to say about Russia. Like, I don't know why it would be why is there a problem between Russia and the world? I can't understand it. It's like, oh, really? Come on.
Don't just trust the media, because if I did, I wouldn't trust myself. That is another illusion that I would say has been dissipated as well. They love them. They genuinely love Americans. They don't understand why there is this frost. And I wanted them
there's
to
just
know
there's nothing that the Russians could point out to depict as to why the international community would be so frustrated with them, so pissed off, so willing to sanction them or to cut them off from international trade or to label them as a pariah state. It's unclear to the Russian people as to what their government is now undertaking. That could be the reason as to why those things are happening. Like, you see how fucking ridiculous propaganda is and how like demented you have to be in order to be like, well, geez, I mean, if you take out the whole, the biggest war in Europe since World War II and all of the thousands of dead people and the people that have been displaced in the millions of casualties on the Russian side, like if you don't think about any of that, it's like, wow, you really can't see a reason. It's like, gee, come on.
we don't understand it either. We're on opposite sides here, but we're all thinking the same thing.
No, we're not.
And that is being poorly reflected by our media. It is literally between our media and Russia. It is not the American people. For whatever reason, I think this has been the most triggering trip for the mainstream media. And it has been laughable to see the headlines they're coming up with. It's very easy for me to accept.
What do you mean, like Kremlin mouthpiece Candace Owens? I mean, clearly, as you're engaged in an interview doing Kremlin propaganda, right? As you're trying to make it seem like there's just no reason whatsoever that I could think of as to why, again, the international community would be so outraged at what the Russians and the Russian military and the Russian government have been enacting for 5 years at this point, and even longer, obviously, than that when they're push into Crimea. But again, we don't have to go into too much more of Candace Owens. It's pretty much the same bullshit, like I said, as Tucker Carlson. They just kind of they copy each other. Everybody that goes over there has the same shit to say. I don't know if they're kind of fed these talking points by the Kremlin and said, okay, this is what you need to say. You need to tell everybody it's clean and safe, and we love Americans and all these things. Like, it seems to be that's what's taking place, because it's all very, very constructed, right? It's all very scripted, and it's all, okay, we're going to show you, again, look no further than North Korea tours, right? I mean, anybody that's done any, watching of documentaries or YouTube videos or reading books of people that have traveled recently inside of North Korea, like, it's very scripted. You get brought to only the places they want you to see, right? You see only the clean areas that they have their people cleaning day and night, or you see only the big, huge monuments dedicated to the strongmen and the dictators and the past leaders, or you see, the beautiful, pieces of geography or landscape that they may have in their country, as opposed to, again, the people in the camps, or again, the people outside of the big cities that are living in poverty, that shit in buckets, that have no running water, that have no freedom, right? That are thrown in gulags. I mean, again, to make it seem like none of that is taking place while she's prancing around these big cities on this fucking lavish tour from the Kremlin, from the Kremlin themselves is again, just very diluted. You'd have to be very fucking uneducated and ignorant to believe anything that she's saying or to believe the way that she's portraying, Russia in general. Again, it's what they've consistently done. But let me throw this one on real quick because this is from Georgi from Ukraine Matters. I'm probably going to run out of time. I'll just probably leave myself enough time to go over and again, give my 2 cents on the whole Graham Plattner thing. But all right, let's dive into this real quick. This is from Georgi from Ukraine Matters, and this is titled "Russia's Downfall Accelerates as Ukraine Regains Control." So just curious if there's anything that we missed as far as, successful acts, successful strikes, or missions undertaken by the Ukrainians. Just again, a couple minutes of this. We'll dive into the combat vet news, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Appreciate you guys. Oh, you know what'd be great is if I put this on the screen. There we go.
Initiated claims about Russians capturing thousands of kilometers during 2026. Reality of the front line and inability of Russians to demonstrate any notable advance is really putting a wrench into the whole equation that they have presented here at the start of this year. Despite the rising number of attacks, Russians are not really speeding up any kind of their offensive campaigns, and arguably the Ukrainians are just getting better and better at removing Russians from their territory. Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Let's look today at the front line and understand where we are at and how bad Russia is doing. And believe me,
before I go on, Georgi actually just sat down with Philip Ittner from the On the Edge podcast. So again, I would recommend you guys check out Philip's channel and his conversation that he had with Georgi. I thought it was great. Good to see him connecting with some of these other big content creators as far as the war in Ukraine is concerned. So again, like I said, friend of the show, Philip Ittner, did sit down with Georgi. If you feel like checking that conversation out on the Edge podcast,
is truly terrible. But we start with some positive news because Ukraine was able to exchange additional 186 military prisoners.
Always good to
from
see.
Russia.
Always good to see. The prisoners of war coming back home, stepping foot on Ukrainian soil for the first time, and who knows how long. Obviously, getting to see their friends, their family, their loved ones. Always a very emotional moment to see that taking place, and always good to see the soldiers getting to return back home as well.
And one of the most important things, we're going to cover kind of large swaths of territory, but the preamble is that Russia is struggling. So if we look about the data of Russian advances in the last week, we see that it was 3 square kilometers. But more importantly, in the last couple of weeks, Russia has been increasing the number of attacks. For example, last week, the number of attacks increased 19% more. And this double-digit increase has been going on for a while now. Despite all of that,
so 20% increase in the number of clashes, but 0% increase from what I could see here in the amount of territory gained, which is obviously good news for the Ukrainians, bad news for the Russians.
5 weeks, you see that overall the territory that Russia captured is pretty pitiful. And this is important because while this is happening, Russian losses are also increasing. One of the major things that was noted in the last couple of days is that over the last 3 days, Russian losses were over 1,400 personnel. And
Not
just
only that, but just now hitting the 1.370 million mark, right? So 1,370,890 Russian military personnel now removed from the battlefield, which is plus 1,550 over the last 24 hours. Again, just astronomical numbers that, again, we continue to see, but really don't make sense as far as we can calculate in our brains. That is just, again, the only word you could use is astronomical, an ungodly amount of death and casualties seen because of the willingness the Russians have to just throw people continuously into this meat grinder, and obviously the efficacy by the Ukrainians to utilize drone technology, the advancements in technology to better remove Russians from the battlefield, we'll say.
Today, 1,550. That's why, despite what I'm going to say next, please note that Russians are actively attacking and are sustaining major losses here. So what I want to cover is I want to cover the regions around Sumy, north of Kharkiv, and pretty much Kupiansk to Liman. The positions here are pretty locked. Russians are trying to advance, but they're not succeeding in any way possible. This is especially noted around Liman, where Russia is just completely stuck, and Ukrainians are actually conducting some small counteroffensive, but not notable enough to report. So how Russia is doing? Putin is claiming that they will capture Donbas
This
by
is the you know, as we were calling it, the fortress belt area of the front, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, Konstantinivka, and all the way, you know, up to Lyman, as we were talking about here. He was just talking about how that's pretty well secured, and you know, they've been doing a pretty substantial job at holding off the Russians in this area. Again, the utilizations of those different you know, those settlements and stuff are having a big effect, obviously, at having the Ukrainians be able to utilize the jumping off points to keep and hold those Russians back. But, you know, this is that kind of fortress belt area that we've been talking about. So, again, any insights into this is very, very much appreciated.
The end of the year. Reality is they won't. But we already know that. So let's look at if Russia can achieve maybe some realistic objectives. Ukrainian analysts have been outlining what Russia can achieve, which is they can try to approach Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. We talked about Liman just now. So the northern direction for Russians just isn't working out so far. They are way behind schedule, and nothing shows that they will even closely approach it. So most likely the northern direction, we can say Russia in 2026 already sort of failed. They will just not be able to make up for the time. The direction from the east, so-called Sloviansk-Siversk direction, this is where Russians are advancing towards the west, and this is where they are trying to get up the hill and get over the small creek, so to say, like a channel. To get over on the hills and to get to Sloviansk from the eastern side. Russians here are trying to get further, but they have had major issues. Biggest problem for them is Rai Alexandrivka. The problem for Russians is not even Rai Alexandrivka itself. The problem is Rai Alexandrivka is just the first step. This is the mandatory town that they need to capture in order for them to kind of move forward and at least reach that channel that we were talking about. The channel is located right over here if you just want to see. So Russians are not even approaching sort of like the main outlined barrier. So once again, we cannot say that Russia is not succeeding here completely, but from my perspective, they are sort of a behind schedule. So for the north part,
I think that's something we could say pretty much for the entirety of their military objectives. They're far behind schedule, right? But to see that, obviously, when you zoom out and you look at the, Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, Konstantinivka, it's easy to see kind of the abilities the Ukrainians are utilizing to try to hold off the Russians. But when you dive closer into these places, to see that they're struggling even to get those, those remote villages, those remote towns that would give them the ability to even kick off from there, to have that as a jumping off point is a struggle for the Russians, is obviously something that's good to see as well. But quickly running out of time. So I did want to jump into just a little bit of this. And then, like I said, we'll get the my 2 cents on the whole Graham matter, and then I'll get you guys out of here after we thank you for your contributions. But this is Ukraine humiliates Putin in Crimea in St. Petersburg. And again, this is from Combat News Vet, or Combat Vet News, I should say. So I said I just wanted to dive into this. Is Ukraine humiliates Putin, Combat Veteran News. Like I said, 481,000 subscribers. And I believe this is just detailing, again, some more effective strikes by the Ukrainians as well. Oh, what an idiot. I'm not even showing the right thing. I'm sitting here on the screen. My apologies. What a donkey dick. What an absolute donkey dick. Well, he's just getting into the good part now, so you didn't miss much.
Leading thinkers and academicians. Davos has failing social media stars.
No, you guys are all good. The audio's good. Everything's good. That was my fault. That was my fault. I didn't I didn't switch over the screens. I was enjoying it myself, which is obviously not the best way to conduct a podcast or a live stream. But I do digress. But like I said, he's just getting into it now, basically detailing the embarrassment from Putin, basically in the supply chain and the difficulties they've seen going into Crimea, and obviously the Russian Davos and the strike inside of St. Petersburg that embarrassed him as well. Yes, thank you, Tiff. Sorry, my apologies. My apologies. That's me. That's on my end.
Like Candace Owens and Andrew Tate as their headlining attendees, in addition, of course, to Vladimir Putin, Russia's propagandist Alexander Dugin, and just a host of other imperialist dirtbags. So, though on the first day of the conference, of course, the Ukrainians sent some drones to welcome attendees. Now, their targets were legitimate military targets, the oil storage facilities in St. Petersburg. And obviously, it was a tremendous embarrassment for Vladimir Putin having no air defenses.
And we talked about this. We talked about not only the effectiveness of the strike, but also the propaganda victory that stemmed from that as well. The high-profile people to Vladimir Putin that were in attendance. The obviously the media coverage that comes with that and the people that were there. So it was definitely going to get the news. It was definitely going to get the headlines. You were going to get the clips and the video, the cell phone, footage from the people in the area. So it was like a multi-pronged propaganda win for the Ukrainians, which is kind of what he's detailing here, along with, the threat posed to Crimea and how it's not reflecting well on Vladimir Putin and his ability to not only protect deep inside of Russia, but also to win the war inside of Ukraine.
Stop the incursion of Ukrainian drones even to his premier facility. So you can imagine that Vladimir Putin, in response, beefed up St. Petersburg air defenses and presumably left other vulnerable targets exposed for the Ukrainians to hit. Only that didn't happen. Yeah, the Russian military, learning zero things from the strikes 2 days ago, now the closing ceremony of the St. Petersburg Economic Forum was also interrupted by drone strikes again.
They got it again. They got it again. And I was having trouble before the show kind of detailing if, because sometimes in this war, people will wait a couple days to report on things, so you don't want to give away intel or movements, troop movements, anything like that. A lot of the times in these strikes where it's widely reported, you don't have to worry about that. But there are channels that, a couple days after the strike will kind of put out a report, making it seem like it just happened. So it makes it difficult to see if it was like, okay, was that another strike or are we talking about that first strike? So we're talking here about more embarrassment felt by Vladimir Putin because it seems like, and as I'm getting here by the reporting, it seems like the Ukrainians not only hit the opening day of the Russian Davos, but also gave them a little fucking, a little kick in the ass while everybody was leaving the country, a little boot out the door, if you will.
Oil depot in St. Petersburg. I swear to God, this is real. Now, this is, according to Zelensky, the Ukrainian drones flew over 1,000 kilometers and targeted Russian naval arsenals and bases in the historic port city of Krasnodar, adjacent to St. Petersburg. Drones also hit an oil depot in Krasnodar Krai, some 500 meters.
These are the ones that we reported on at the beginning of the Ukraine coverage, but here's just a little bit information on kind of where it was, the effect it had on not only the Russian Davos, but obviously the embarrassment to Putin.
Ukrainian border. So now,
says Ukraine's security service SBU reported a fire and secondary detonations at the Russian Navy's 15th arsenal in Leningrad Oblast, where missiles and ammunition are stored. Quote, it's time to end this war, but Russia's ruler wants to keep fighting, and that's why Ukrainian sanctions against this aggression are working, Zelensky said on social media. Local residents report seeing clouds of smoke rising from the area around Kronstadt Marine Plant, a Russian naval shipyard located approximately 30 kilometers or 19 miles from St. Petersburg, Russian Telegram media channels reported. So again, not inside of St. Pete, but some, like it said, 19 miles or so outside of St. Petersburg, but also, and you can definitely tell that this was going to get the attention of not only the Russians, the people in attendance that were still there. Obviously, it's going to get the media coverage as well. So just wanted to show you that the Ukrainians, again, showing off their ability to consistently get through the Russian air defenses, and that, when they do these things, it's not a one-time use. It's not like, hey, we're going to do this once and not kind of continuously show we have the ability to do this. So, just because you think you're in St. Petersburg or just outside of St. Petersburg doesn't mean you're safe from the Ukrainian drones, the Ukrainian, sanctions, the kinetic sanctions that they're now trying to engage in right now. So again, good things to see there as far as the front is concerned. Obviously, the effective strikes there, and the ability they have to continuously show Vladimir Putin that the war is getting closer and closer to him, as opposed to closer and closer to Kyiv, is a good thing. So I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. Just a couple minutes left, and like I said, I know I'm probably going to go over a minute or two, but a lot of people have been asking, a lot of people have been questioning and talking about the whole Graham Plattner situation. So I figured I might as well get it off my chest, give you my 2 cents, and then we'll kind of leave it there and kind of let the chips fall where they may, right? First thing I want to come out and say, yes, absolutely. We need the Senate. To take over the Senate should be the main goal, should be the main thought and concern for people. Obviously, this is a tough issue. I say it's a tough issue because, and another thing is, I agree with every single one of his policies. I agree with the things he espouses. I agree with what he says he wants to enact. My problem comes where, the problem is these are our choices, right? We've talked time and time again about the Republicans' willingness to look the other way, or to forget, or to try to obfuscate or defend against somebody's past, or sexual exploitations or sexual assault or something along those lines. So obviously we want the bar to be raised, but obviously we can't raise that bar if we don't take back power. So it's kind of like a catch-22. I will also reiterate the fact that I am not from Maine, right? I am not from Maine. I think that the Mainers should be, to be able to speak for themselves, to vote for themselves. And, my opinion is pretty much irrelevant in that fact. You know what I mean? I'm from Massachusetts, so I'm not going to tell Maine people how to vote. I'm not going to tell people, how to vote in general. I will give my opinions and my insights to that. But I do think it's a nuanced conversation, because I think all of us would agree that we want the bar raised as far as politicians, as far as people that are representing us, right? The people that we want to see in power, the people that we want to see, to do things that are the best for the American people. And, it's difficult to kind of, I don't know. It's difficult to think about raising that bar, because if that bar is raised, I think we could say that, not only would the candidate in the White House obviously not have gotten there, but other candidates that have, similar things in their backgrounds, similar problems, wouldn't be in that position either. Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like I said, it's a very nuanced conversation. We absolutely need the Senate. And it's like, I don't mind, and I won't blame anybody for biting the bullet, for holding their nose, or doing whatever you need to do in order to make sure that we can take back the Senate. And then hopefully after that, start enacting and affecting change that we want to see changed. So I can see both perspectives. I've grown up around a lot of white guys, and I've grown up around a lot of people in the military. So, a thought that I would have, especially as a World War II historian, or, somebody that, looks at themselves as an amateur World War II historian, very passionate about World War II at the very least. It's difficult to me to have hung around people that I've hung around, and hung around people that have had the military experience, and say, well, if you got a Totenkopf, if you got a Nazi tattoo, that there's probably some other things lurking behind the scenes, right? That's probably not the only problem. That's probably not the only thing. That's just from my experience, right? But like I said, it's a strange time that we're in, and it's almost like, we have to rob Peter to pay Paul, right? It's like we need to look the other way in some form or fashion in order to hopefully take back enough power to effect enough change where this doesn't become a problem. Right. My problem becomes with like this is the situation that we're in, right? Like, why is it not that, why don't we have better people espousing these beliefs? Why don't we have like a ton of people, a ton of options of people out there saying these progressive things, talking about ending wars, talking about the billionaire class and the suffrage of the blue collar workers in this country, right? It's just like, I guess that's the problem. Obviously the problem with things that we could rightly call out, but it's like, not my position or place. I'm not a Mainer. Mainers can speak for themselves. They can vote for themselves. But like I said, it is a nuanced conversation where I think we could all agree we want the bar to be raised. And if we all agree that we want the bar to be raised, it's probably clear that people like this won't be involved, right? But again, we're not at that position yet. And again, taking back power, taking back the Senate is the goal, is the main goal. You got to put out the biggest fire first, right? If you're a fire engine, if you're working for the fire department and you got a bunch of calls at the same time, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the biggest fire first, the one that poses the most danger, that poses the most threat. And obviously that's Donald Trump, the Republican Party, their degradation of society, their plight against women, their plight against the LGBTQIA. And then after that, if we need to, kind of buckle down and look at the people that are representing us, then that's something that we can hopefully in the future do. But like I said, right now it's tough. It's tough. It's not an easy conversation. But like I said, I'm very happy to not be in that position. I feel fortunate to not be a Mainer in this place. But what are you going to do? Like I said, people asking. It's a tough conversation. It really is. But I can see it both ways. I really can. I can see why people are, have the skepticism, and I can see why people are like, well, guess what? We have much bigger fish to fry, and if we want to fish, we want to fry this fish later on, then we could fry that fish later on. Let's fry the fucking, the great white shark that's coming to bite off our heads, right? So again, I don't know if that makes much sense. But again, that is just a little bit of the 2 cents, and like it's you know what I mean? It's not easy. It's not easy because I like to believe that we have principles and morals, and we will, put those principles and morals into practice, regardless of what side of the aisle we're talking about, regardless of who we're talking about, regardless of how rich they are, right? And that's kind of something that we're all dealing with right now, where it's like, okay, yes, that's something that we all espouse, but also look at what else is going on, and look at all the trouble, and look at all the problems and the wars and everything else. The life getting more difficult here in the States, and everything's getting more expensive. So, it's a difficult time. We're not in normal times. So I don't think normal political ways of thinking can be justified, right? Obviously, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a nuanced thing, and we're going to have to make some difficult decisions going forward here if we really want to take back power and control, so we can inevitably, again, affect the changes that would lead to these conversations in the first place, right? So what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the chat there. If you can understand what I'm saying, if you don't understand what I'm saying, like I said, I'm not telling people how to vote, what to vote, who to vote for. You guys are all, like I said, the people in Maine are very, very capable of figuring out what is best for their state themselves. So again, we'll leave it at that. But a lot of the times, I bring it up to like Freddie Oversteegen, the Warsaw Uprising, the people in the resistance that during World War II probably committed some what we would consider today atrocious acts. Like Freddie Oversteegen used to lure Nazis into the woods and end their Nazihood, end their lives, right? But they did that at the betterment of society, right? They did it because it was a just cause, because it was the position that they were thrust into doing right now. So again, I'm sure there's a little bit of an aspect of, like I said, and I'm sure a lot of you aren't even holding your nose. You're doing it rightfully. You're doing it proudly. And again, that's your position. That's your opinion. And I don't take anything away from that. But for the people that are kind of, on the fence, on edge, not quite sure, just think about people that had to, again, commit some really what we'd consider atrocious acts for the betterment of society, for the better good, for the better cause. And again, I just, the power, the Senate, the House is what I keep going back to, right? So let me know if you guys think that makes sense. If not, what can I do? There's not much I could do to change that, but it's me kind of in an area of comfort, speaking from the outside looking in, right? Because like I said, I'm not a Mainer. I'm not here to tell Maine what they should vote for as far as their, as far as their state, their wants, their beliefs are concerned. That's just my 2 cents, my opinions on the whole matter. What do you say we get into dropping things on the keyboard? Let's say we get into thanking some people on Venmo. But I am curious what you guys think. Let me see, because I'm sure at some point it's probably not to be a popular take, but I do think it's a well-balanced one, right? I do think that's a well-balanced take. Like I said, it's recognizing the position that we're in, recognizing the shortcomings of the person, while also trying to balance that with the importance of the moment, right? I think that's kind of what we're all trying to fight with. If I hope I'm doing a good job at explaining it. Maybe I'm not, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Ken Paxton got the Republican primary. He's 10 times worse than Plattner at this point. Well, again, I totally agree. Totally agree. But then that brings us to the point of almost doing what they're doing, right? You know what I mean? Excusing this and that because we want power. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's kind of that would be my pushback on that. You know what I mean? It's like we're supposed to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And obviously that is at a normal political time. We're not in normal political times. So again, there is so much nuanced. And again, the conversation could go on for quite a period of time. But, I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. Ken Paxton, a criminal, won the Republican primary. And I agree with what you said there. But does that justify, right? Again, it's up to you guys. It's up to the people of Maine as well. And like I said, I'm not, Jesus Christ, what was I trying to say? I am not removed from the importance, obviously, as I was saying, of the need to take back power in this country, the need to take the Senate, the need to take the House. I am not, which is what makes it such a nuanced conversation and not just this black and white thing, obviously, because if it was black and white, I'm pretty sure we'd all be in a similar camp of, something that we probably wouldn't necessarily be asking for someone in the, those things. Paxton does suck. Absolutely. We should fall. I don't think we shouldn't. I'm assuming Michael's saying we shouldn't fall for the corporate media smear. And that's another angle, right? I mean, that's another thing. The corporations, the establishment fighting so hard, AIPAC fighting so hard, right? Does that detail the benefit of the things that he's talking about, or is that about the person? You know what I mean? That's another thing that I bring up where, I'm frustrated that this is the position that we're in, where we don't have 1,000 unbelievable candidates out there right now espousing progressive views. Again, with, backgrounds that we don't have to worry about the opposition coming back at us with, or people disagreeing with. Like, that's where there should be so much anger and so many smart people in this country, espousing progressive views. We shouldn't be in this position, but we are in this position, so that's not a conversation that we could have, unfortunately. But you know what I mean? It's just it's something to speak on where the establishment has pushed back. AIPAC and the Israeli lobby has pushed back so much that you got to see, either the benefit in the policies, or whether or not they're scared of the policies and the person, or just one or the other. But obviously, something is having a benefit. Something is having an effect. If again the establishment is that pissed off, the people that we consider to be on the other side, people that we consider in groups we consider to be against the better interest of the American people, if they're pissed off and they're worried and they're throwing a bunch of money in, then again there's something to be said for that as well. So like I said, it's not an easy or quick conversation, but like I said, I hope I'm explaining both sides of it as well. And like I said, I don't have a horse in the race as far as being a Maine voter. So I'm not here to give anybody advice or tell you what to do or what not to do. You guys are adults as far as that is concerned, and you guys can make your own decisions as far as where the import lies, what is of the most importance, kind of the biggest fire that we need to put out, and then we can go from there, right? So I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I appreciate that. All right, let's get into Venmo. What did I do with my phone? Somehow I lost my phone? Oh, no, it's right in front of my face. All right, let's get into thanking some people on Venmo. Like I said, I hope that was an okay attempt. I probably should have left it to the end of the show again, but what are you going to do? There's a lot of important stuff to go through as well. But let me thank some people over here on the Venmo side of things. and then we'll thank some people on the YouTube side of things. Bry Guy, what's up, my brother? I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for the $5 contribution on Venmo. Bry says, for another Sunday of the Tradesman News Working Man Slava Ukraine hat on the way. Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate that. Make sure you send in a picture when it comes. So thank you, Bry Guy, for your contribution for the last couple days as well. Thank you so much to Nina, Allison. You guys have been fantastic. Jeff, Geneva, Damon, Nancy, Yakov, Moms, Peter, Jim, Belinda. Thank you guys so much for your support. And again, that is anybody that reached out via Venmo. Is the Venmo QR code up here in the corner. If you find, 4 quarters in the couch cushions over there and you can send them in through Venmo, then, that's kind of all we ask for. $1 or $2, nothing above and beyond that. If you do think we're worth something above and beyond that, that is totally 100% up to you and your financial capabilities. But again, $1 or $2 from everybody in the chat during these shows would go a long, long way at boosting this community. So thank you guys so much. Let's get into thanking some people over here. And again, send in a super chat if you have something you want me to read as far as my takes or calling me out or saying I'm wrong. And I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. Again, we don't want to build a cult here. We want to build a community of independent thinkers, which is what I think we've done a pretty good job at doing. So, Rachel, first up today, thank you so much. Good afternoon. Waiting for you in Springfield. I appreciate that. And I did see your, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I saw another email with another guest request on that. So I'll get on that after the show as well. But thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate that. And hopefully sometime soon we could link up and get my ass out there to Springfield. I don't know. What are we going to do? Protesting? We causing trouble? Some good trouble out there in Springfield? I'm up for it. All right. Thank you so much to JD as well. Member for 26 months. Siempre antifascista. Right back at you, JD. Thank you so much. And for the 5 gifted memberships. Let's fucking go. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for including people in the chat and helping build this community. Again, you too can gift memberships. Sign up for a YouTube membership. Just underneath me, somewhere in this general vicinity right here is a button. You can, like I said, either gift memberships or sign up yourself. Less than a gallon of gas, guys. Less than a gallon of gas. You can become a member here for a month, for an entire month. So thank you so much, JD. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Stoneflower Dragon. DHS and ICE. We're going to be talking about this next show. I wanted to put together some of the footage going on from more recently from the Delaney Hall. Going on in Newark there. So DHS and ICE have been trained in violence by the IDF, training focus on counterterrorism, intelligence sharing, and border security tactics. So we can kind of combine those two things because I know over the last several nights it has kicked back off as far as Delaney Hall is concerned as well. But I wanted to make sure to give that the time and the consideration that it deserves and not just kind of talk about it in passing. But thank you, Stoneflower Dragon, for the contribution and obviously the information as well. Thank you so much to Moms. This week's tithing, I have my Slava Ukraine shirt on today. Let's go, Moms. Very much appreciate you and your support for the channel, your support for Ukraine. And again, thank you to everybody that's been part of this unbelievable campaign, second campaign, I should say, that we've been on, where we're now up to, again, over 7,700 euro raised. It's because of fantastic people like Moms, because of Yakov, Nancy, all of you fantastic people that are on that wall right now. Thank you so much. So thank you, Moms, for that. Thank you for the tithing. Thank you, DPD. Boston Brian, have you considered reaching out? Thank you, DPD, for your $20 contribution. Have you considered reaching out to Joy Reid, Don Lemon, or Waj Ali in order to get more recognition for your phenomenal Boston Brian Summer Drones campaign? It may help in getting more donations. You deserve to be recognized. Thank you so much, for the kind words. I don't know. I feel like they're a little out of my reach, right? I feel like I'm kind of aiming somewhere in between that. Between, I don't know if Joy Reid or Don Lemon or Waj Ali are going to return my emails, but I could certainly try. It's worth a shot, right? It's worth a shot. You never know. But I appreciate the idea, and you're absolutely right. I think it would be great to get, these platforms recognized and kind of, promoted on their bigger channels, their bigger platforms as well. So thank you so much, DBD, for your contribution as well. And I will definitely take that in consideration. All I got to do is shoot out a couple emails, and what's the worst that could happen? They don't respond. So thank you, DBD. Very much appreciate you. Thank you, Angela, as well. He's bloody well lost his mind. This is a very sensitive take, but I think he was just itching to yell at a black person. And since he can't yell at 44, so he yelled at Kristen instead. Oh, Trump during the interview? Yeah, well, I mean, he definitely progressed in the interview. Like, I don't know if he went in there disheveled, but it seemed like he was not in the mood that he left, let's just say. So he definitely didn't like the fact that Kristen, and I'm sure being a female, being a person of color as well, he doesn't like when she pushes back, when he makes him look stupid. So he's always ready to kind of pull that card of, you're an idiot, you're a hack, you're a liberal, fake news, yada, 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 get up and storm away like he did on 60 Minutes and on a bunch of other interviews that he's had where he kind of lost the plot and wasn't coming out on top by any stretch of the imagination. So, Angela, thank you so much for the 10. Very much appreciate you, and I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibility. I do think he gets off on that, definitely. So, thank you as well, Marsha. Thank you so much, Boston Brian. Thank you for your dedication to booting trolls. Mods, thank you for your support. Brian Tull just lost his chat. Been going through some truly bad things, one after another. Well, we're sorry, Marsha. Thank you so much for being here. We're sending good vibes, well wishes. Hopefully, whatever you've been going through, turns around very quickly. And again, if you need somebody to talk to, if you need anybody or any assistance from anybody here in the chat or feel free to reach out. We'll be here for you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the 10. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. And like I said, hopefully things get better for you. Sorry to hear that you've been having a rough stretch there. Oh, thank you so much for the 5 gifted as well, Marsha. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for that. I very much appreciate that. $10 gifted, 5 gifted memberships, including 5 people in the chat now getting these gifted memberships. So thank you so much to Marsha. W in the chat for Marsha. And like I said, good vibes being sent your way. Synth, thank you so much for the $10. Texas Paul says many got the tattoo during the war. Origin of a tattoo is not linked to Nazis. I think he has the same tattoo. This is a tactic to divide the left. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that. I saw Texas Paul's video, and he tried to compare it to the Jolly Roger, is what he was comparing it to. Sorry, not buying it. The Jolly Roger and the Totenkopf, 2 fucking completely, totally separate things with 2 completely and totally separate historical points of view and exactly what they represent in detail. Not only that, but like I said, having grown up around a lot of white men, having been in the military, seeing a lot of similar tattoos. Like I said, you don't not know what the fuck that is. And if you didn't know, the people that you followed to get that, somebody in the fucking group knew, you know what I mean? And not only that, but sometime in the future, while you had that tattoo, it was pointed out, you saw it on television. Somebody in the military was talking about it. I'm not buying it. And I'm not saying that should be, I'm not saying that should be the X or that should be the deciding factor. Like I said, it's a nuanced conversation. We have a rapist and a pedophile in the White House, right? And we have the desperate need to take back the Senate. But again, I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself. I'm not going to sit here and go against my policies, my beliefs, my principles, and I'm not going to just pretend like I'm fucking stupid for the benefit of the live stream. So no, he compared it to a Jolly Roger, and it's just not the fucking same thing whatsoever. Again, take that for what you will. It doesn't matter, but it's just not the fucking same thing whatsoever. But I do appreciate the sentiment, and absolutely do appreciate the contribution. And I do think there are absolutely people out there trying to utilize all of this to drive a wedge in between the establishment, AIPAC, all of these things, which is why I wish they weren't able to be utilized in the first place, which is why I wish we had ample number of people out there that we could choose from, that we didn't have to sit here and talk about this bullshit. And we could talk about, again, the anti-war, helping the blue collar, healthcare, all of the good things that, again, he espouses and says that I agree with, that I would like to see implemented. So, but again, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys or myself in the process. So sorry, not sorry. Thank you so much to Bethany for 21 months of loyalty. I very much appreciate you and everything that you've done for this channel. Like I said, you guys that have been here for years at this point, supporting and showing us your generosity. It's really appreciated to say the least. So thank you so much, Bethany. Thank you so much to Rocks, Summer of Drones. Let's go. Appreciate that. Member for 27 months, not only a mod, but a fantastic member of the chat as well. Thank you so much, Rocks. Hopefully mom is doing well. Please give her my best as well. Thank you to Marsha again for 13 months of loyalty. Missed being here, working on it. No, all good, all good. Everybody needs their time to take care of themselves. Everybody needs their time to get their house in order, if you will. Again, we're all dealing with our own personal issues on top of all the political issues. So don't apologize for any time that you guys need to take some time off or, a couple days to take care of, whatever it may be going on in your life. But Marsha, just know we'll be right here waiting for you. You'll always have a home and a community here, regardless of what's taking place outside of this. So thank you so much to Marsha. Thank you to LAR4485. Much appreciated for the $20 contribution. Very nice of you. Thank you for all of your work and reporting. I appreciate that. And again, I just, like I said, I've consistently for my entirety of my life worn my heart on my sleeve. Not very good at hiding things. So, what you see is what you get, and it'll continue to be. So, Law, thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Good to see you in the chat down there. Thank you, JD, as well. I don't think I heard you swear once this broadcast. Choir boy bonus. Did I not? Or is that just really, really heavy and thick sarcasm? I feel like it's the second. I feel like that's just really, really deep, thick, rooted sarcasm in that, because I'm pretty sure I did let one fly at least once or twice. But JD, you're always there to help scoop me up. You're always there to help pick me up as far as that is concerned. So I do appreciate you. Salute to you, JD. Thank you so much to Wayno as well. Wayno, big shout out to you, my friend, for the 10 gifted memberships. 10 people there in the chat now getting Boston Brian memberships for an entire month because of Wayno's generosity. So please make sure we're reaching out to everybody in the chat. Please make sure we're reaching out to everybody contributing and everybody commenting and letting them know that we appreciate it. Big W's in the chat for you guys. And like I said, I appreciate you for sticking with me. I know we try to cover a lot on these shows. We try to jam and cram as much information and kind of headline. How did that just mute me? As I'm talking about being muted, the damn thing muted me. God damn it. I swear these things have a mind of their own. I swear these things have a mind of their goddamn own. But all right, I'm out of here. I will see you Monday for everybody that's going to be joining us on the Patreon Zooms. Please make sure you Why am I continuing? Why? Who's muting me? Who is muting me? Is somebody fucking with me? Hello? Somebody I'm not doing anything. I haven't touched a goddamn thing. All right. What are you going to do? Well, honestly, all I was doing was showing my love for you guys. I was just telling you how much I love and appreciate you. And for some reason, I swear, Tiff, are you fucking with me? Are you muting me behind the scenes? Something's out. No, my keyboard's not even close to me. I have nothing remotely close to me right now that I could possibly press that would mute me. But anyway, I'll let you guys go. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow for the Monday Zoom. Check out the Zoom dates. Make sure you know what levels get access to the Zoom tomorrow night. I'll send out the link on patreon.com. And then if not, I'll see you guys Tuesday. I appreciate you. Big salute to the mods. Big salute to the chat. Thank you guys so much for putting up with my bullshit in the muting. I don't know all of a sudden where that just came into play. But god damn it, fucking StreamYard makes it as difficult as humanly possible for me. I swear. Yeah, Abby says Mossad. I'm telling you, the IDF bugging me. The IDF is bugging me. Well, in more ways than one, I can tell you that much. But all right, before I get myself in trouble, I'm out of here. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, Alyosha. Thank you, Masha. Thank you, Dame Deb Dog. I said Deb Dog. Thank you, Dame Dog and Debbie. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Shelton, Kelly. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Michael. What's up, Pam? Good to see you. What's up, Wes? What's up, Ruben? Appreciate you guys. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, the whole 9 yards, as we say. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It would go a long way if we could get to 25K before midterms. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it, and I'll see you Tuesday. All right, I'm out of here. Get me out. Get me out. I actually don't know if that works for StreamYard. I know it stops the videos, but I don't think it's a mute function. Thank you, Mom. Sorry. Rubin, agreed.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's
The
an
water
incredible
coming
thing.
here is dead.
The water coming here is dead.
Like we always do about this time.
They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
He says, wrecked him, damn near killed him.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
The hell was that all about?
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
Is there anything worse than white people?
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it. I've become an expert on guns.
He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
Obama. Obama.
Get off my plane.
Where you going? Nowhere.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
I'm just an average guy who read public documents where the elite said they were going to enslave us and destroy America. And I'm not going to be like yuppie scum and deny the threat to my country. I'm going to fight back.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.